Set it off.
Set it off.
Yeah, just like Queen Latifah did. Queen Latifah would make a great captain.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She might.
She would set it off, dude.
Wanda Sykes.
Yeah, she would be the Wanda Sykes would be a good number one, second in command.
Yeah, she'd get shit done. Yeah.
I see Wanda Sykes as an admiral who, is sick of everyone's shit.
Oh, okay.
But it's hard for me to see Wanda Sykes as like a straight up, because all admirals are villains. So it's like I can't see her as a villain, really.
She could be.
I think so.
I mean, I feel like she could be a hard ass, which admirals can also
That's true.
occupy that space without
admirals
becoming like a whole on villain.
Admirals could really kick Riker's ass.
Yeah.
So
And they give that good sass back talk to the captain.
yeah.
Yeah, see,
So
and
she
Wanda
could-
Sykes is perfect for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Admiral, she could keep her name because Admiral Sykes is a pretty badass.
That's
admiral.
pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see?
that's actually pretty
Yeah.
good. Admiral Sykes, and she's like, "Shut the fuck up, Picard."
And she could say, "Get out of my Sykes."
She's got
Get
a
this ship out of my
catchphrase.
Sykes.
Yeah.
She uses that same pun at every opportunity. Like, I have you in my Sykes.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
What have I started?
We have the Borg in our Sykes.
Yeah.
Oh
stupid.
my god! I'm so sorry,
hey,
Wanda
Scott's
Sykes.
Hey.
No, we're
Hi,
pumping her up.
Scott.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to. I guess this is like kind of the biggest finale TNG ever had, because it's kind of what turned TNG from like, oh yeah, that show in Star Trek, was that the Star Trek
That
show
sounds
on
like a
TV.
spoiler, Marvin.
Oh well, because the way it ended this episode, like,
Yeah,
because people.
but how are we to know that this was the biggest they ever had? Now we know for sure that it only goes
now
downhill from here.
Yeah, what the hell? What kind of
set
setup
us
is
up, you set us
that?
up for failure, dude.
in terms of
We all
like,
turned on you.
Like, I quit the podcast now.
Yeah, dude.
I don't
in
want to
terms-
watch anymore.
Yeah.
in
If
terms
this
of
is a-
like
if this is a
putting it
peak-
on the map, it puts
Forget about it,
TNG
dude.
on the map, kind of.
I don't even need to
because-
see part 2.
This episode kind of.
I
Just
don't
walk
want
away.
to watch anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you're not wrong, because it's not only the greatest and sorry for being that spoilery, but it's not only the greatest Star Trek cliffhanger, but it's considered one of the best TV cliffhangers of all time.
yeah.
So it didn't only just put Next Gen on the map; it really, it really paved the way.
Like, what could the other be? Like Dallas, when they were like, who shot JR?
Who shot JR?
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know many others that like actually like, because before Best of Both Worlds Part 1, all of the people on TV were like, yeah, Star Trek, yeah, it's cool. And then like suddenly after this, everyone was like, oh my god, what's going to happen on Star Trek? Because
It's so
it's
weird
like,
to think of the American public like suddenly getting into Star Trek because of this.
Yeah.
they kind of did though, which is crazy, right?
Yeah, like that's the story you're telling, and it's like I can't. It's hard for me to wrap my head around.
But yeah, people were into it. Yeah, they started like especially also there were a lot of fans who had like kind of written off Trek or TNG in general, because they're like, this isn't TOS. This isn't the original series. We're not
Where's my
gonna
tribbles?
Yeah, where's the Kirk? Why is
I have a
this-
theory. I have a theory why this episode was popular.
Oh,
Shoot.
okay.
I think personally,
Mhm.
it's because it's really close to like Terminators.
Well,
Hey man, that's not even a bad angle.
yeah. I mean,
No,
like
it makes-
they're.
I mean, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like, what is a term? Since they're both unstoppable killing
Yeah.
machines.
Yeah, it's just a
essentially.
malevolent force that's just coming at you. It's
Yeah.
like it just doesn't stop. It has no
And
purpose other than to
It has
defeat
no
you.
remorse, and it will not
Yeah.
stop until you are dead.
And
or until we
and
go to Voyager, and then
around this time they were filming Terminator 2, so it was in the air like, oh, there's a Terminator 2, and then it's like, oh, there's Borg in this.
Yeah, you're not wrong. There's
Yeah.
also Terminator had already come out by that point, so the idea, I think what they were kind of going for was more of like, how do we do zombies in space? Because that's kind of what the Borg are. But I think it sort of became, because you have to sustain that idea in space somehow. I think it becomes robotic and hyper futuristic in order to sustain that model, and then you go, oh, and it's also Terminators. It's also like this.
And since we don't
unstoppable-
have the special effects like budget and resources to do like
Yeah.
elaborate prosthetics underneath skin, let's just put things onto skin.
Yeah, see,
Let's just glue a bunch of shit to their shoulders.
if the Borg were actually zombies, this would have been like a 10 out of 10, maybe like a 15 out of 10. Yeah, like seriously, like
Well, we
would've
can
been
just
like-
call them robo-zombies from now on.
We could.
Yeah, but they're too much like, you know what the Borg remind me of? Universal soldiers.
Only partially visually.
I mean, if Van Damme was in it, again, 15 out of 10. But visually, yeah, they look like Universal soldiers, a little bit like Terminator because of the red light. But no, they don't remind me of zombies. But if they were zombies, fucking 10 out of 10.
Well, best of both worlds.
Plus, that title is really confusing.
Well,
I thought I was going to get something else, and I was let down.
Which
I
two
think-
worlds?
You know which two worlds, dude.
Yeah, I know.
The best kind, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's supposed to have two meanings.
I don't understand the title actually.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to have two meanings. I think it's supposed to be one, a direct reference to the Borg in that their self-image is that they are the best of organic and machine combined into one thing. They are the best of both worlds.
Best around, some would say.
The other is that it's actually a reference to Riker because Riker's conundrum, at least in this part, is that he's not sure if he wants to be a captain, which requires leaving the Enterprise, or if he wants to stay on the Enterprise, but as a result, might never become a captain, which has been his lifelong goal. But under the worst of circumstances, he is actually given the best of both worlds. He is allowed to essentially become the captain of the Enterprise.
No, I don't see that one.
Wow.
I thought it was gonna be the Harp Ladies. Like
That's his goal in life.
Yeah,
to always deal with the Harp Ladies.
yeah,
Yeah, the captain of
mean-
Harp Ladies.
yeah.
It's definitely I don't know. On a side note, I think I dressed up as a Borg for Halloween one year and I didn't realize it.
What?
How?
Yeah, like what did you think you were?
I thought I was an escaped. Well, the actual the actual costume I came up with was an escaped science experiment, and so
Oh, were you like modeling yourself after like Wolverine from X2?
I had like tubes coming out of me, and like I looked exactly like the Borgs look in this episode. Like with the tubes and the whatever.
Did you
and with
cover
the
one
weird
eye?
face paint? And
It
Yeah,
feels pretty
I like-
important to cover one eye.
Yeah.
No, I didn't
you gotta
do that,
obscure one of
but-
your eyes.
Yeah.
I just so when I saw them, I was like, oh, I didn't even know what that was at the time, but I just made up a costume that looks exactly like a Borg. I'll try
Did
to find a
people-
picture.
Did people try to engage with you as if you were a Star Trek fan during this
Maybe
Halloween?
if they did, I probably didn't know what they were talking about. I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm an escaped science experiment with tubes.
Were you
coming out of me.
familiar with the Borg before Star Trek? I guess you
No.
weren't because you were. What about you, Ricardo? Were
I
you?
had no idea.
No. I mean, I had seen. What do you mean familiar? I have seen pictures. I have seen like
Like you knew of them. You know they existed.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
as a-
to me, honestly, and this is, I'm not shitting on anything. I'm gonna offend some people. I just thought they were shitty ripoff Terminators. They're like, oh, fucking, here we go, Star Trek, fucking trying to copy Terminators. Fucking next time, call James Cameron, dude.
And now that you've watched the episode, you know for sure that you're correct.
Yes, I knew my theories were correct. Well,
Theory
actually, they're
confirmed.
more like space vampires because they, they they all communicate.
They turn well. I guess both zombies
I
and
think-
vampires turn you into one of them.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a theory
Yeah.
that if you kill the main Borg, they all wake up. They're like, oh, fuck, dude. What are we, dude? Just like I've always said, if you kill Bob Dylan, all the hipsters wake up. And they're like, oh, my God, we've been wearing the fucking shitty clothes all along. They turn back to normal people.
They just start like living a
Regular
regular
lives.
life.
They're like, oh, fuck, we don't have to play the fucking banjo. And
Oh God, why do I have all these vinyls? God.
God damn it, I got to sell all this, all my vinyl collection.
Spotify
You'll
is
never
so,
get rid of
so
those.
useful.
No.
I mean, I won't get rid of mine either.
Yeah.
I say this as we all own vinyls.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Best of both worlds. The Terminator zombie vampire robot episode of Star Trek. Season
Yep.
finale of season 3. Listen, this episode first aired June 18 of 1990. Dan, should we check out what happened around that time?
Sure, let's mosey around the sun.
Just
They
do
were
it.
filming Terminator 2. I can tell you that.
Yeah. According to Ricardo, they were filming Terminator 2 just as around this time.
Wow.
And I believe him. I do. June 11th. Supreme Court ruled that a law prohibiting the desecration of the U.S. flag was unconstitutional. But if we change the Constitution, then we can make all sorts of crazy laws.
Oh.
Anyway, June 12th, Mariah Carey, the penultimate boss of Christmas, debuted with her first album. Know what it was called?
Sarah would know.
It's called Mariah Carey.
I do. Good. I expect it to be called Mariah Carey.
There you go. 2 days
amazing.
later, on the 14th, the Supreme Court, again, in this trip, ruled that police checking for drunk drivers was constitutional. That's probably a good idea,
Wow,
I guess. And on the 15th, no, it's
Goddamn
actually
government.
it's a good
The
thing.
government always trying to fuck us over. We're just trying to drink and drive. What's wrong with that, dude?
We're just trying to have a good time.
Aren't there certain states where you can just have like a drink open in your car? It's fine.
Yeah, that's called Mexico.
All right, and then on the 15th, we got 2 movie releases. Dick Tracy, directed by and starring Warren Beatty, and Gremlins 2, The New Batch.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Guess
man,
which
Gremlins
one
2.
was number 1 at the box office?
Dick Tracy.
Gremlins 2.
Marvin's correct with Dick Tracy.
Oh.
Gremlins 2 bombed like
Ooh.
fucking crazy, even though it's
Underrated.
an amazing sequel.
It's underrated.
It's one of the best sequels of all time in the sense
Vastly
that
underrated. Yep.
it is truly a good sequel.
I've never seen it, actually.
What, Gremlins
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's essentially a sequel about how it's a sequel.
Okay.
Because
Super meta.
what's his name? Joe Dante, the director, really did not want to make a sequel to Gremlins, but the studio kind of forced him. So he was like, "All right, fuck you." Then the whole movie is going to be about an evil corporation forcibly making Gremlins so they can merchandise them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that does sound familiar.
Yeah, it's
I don't know
great.
if that means I've seen the movie, but now that like story's familiar to me.
My favorite scene is when the Gremlins take over. They take over Wall Street, and they're on the stock exchange.
Oh, God,
And they just
yes.
yell, buy, sell. That's my favorite Gremlins.
Have you
joke.
guys-
How much
guys-
crypto do you think they got?
The
Nothing's changed.
Mine.
the crypto bro gremlin. Do you guys I'm sure you guys have seen it. The Key and Peele sketch for Gremlins 2.
No, I have not.
I haven't seen that
Oh my
one.
god, we should pause and watch that. This shades this
Stop
whole
everything.
conversation. Yeah,
Like, hold on, we'll be right back.
Timestamp.
No, I don't even want to. It's just it's a boardroom, and they're going around. They're like, okay, we're gonna write Gremlins 2, and then there's this really flamboyant creative type in the back. And they're like, excuse me, who are you? And he's like, oh, I'm just sitting in a meeting. And then this guy starts going around the table, going, what kind of crazy gremlin do you want to see? And basically they just pitched like their crazy ideas and they put them in the movie. It's like, the last guy's like, I want the Hulk to be in it, the Hulkster. The Hulk is
Yeah,
in it
well,
now.
That's exactly what happened, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a scene
I've
where the
opened a tab
Hulk
and
yells at the camera.
I've opened a tab and I'm going to watch this sketch right after the podcast.
Yeah. We should all do that.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
Excellent.
Sorry.
That is the
derailed
trip
us.
around the sun, everybody.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Excellent.
We're back.
Excellent.
We're back on
That's
Earth.
pretty. I mean, we're only a couple of days separated from, on the date that this aired and the day that we are, because it's June 21st and that was June 18th.
That's true.
That's true.
The actual recording
We're
date
on
of
an
this
anniversary
podcast.
style.
Yeah. And
So
actually,
now we're going to wait 3 months until we watch part 2, right?
yeah. And actually, Terminator 2 was released on July 3rd, so we're really close to that too.
Mm.
Yeah, we're gonna
Nice.
skip over that because this is a season finale.
Yeah, but
Mm. Wait, but then it wasn't recording at the time, you bastard.
it was released in 1991,
Okay. All right.
so it was a year before this. It was definitely filmed then.
Okay. All right. Well, you know who aren't bastards are sponsors.
Yeah,
You know,
Nice.
let's just get through them because we all know who they are. Like ExpressVPN. Listen, do you want to not raw dog the internet and have everyone know who you've been dogging because your ISP can now check out whatever you're logging into because net neutrality is out the window? Well, guess what? You use a quality VPN like ExpressVPN, and ExpressVPN's quality because their security is top notch and because they have 3,000 plus servers in 160 locations spanning 94 countries. Works on pretty
Dang.
much every device you can think of. If you have a device, there is an app for it, even on like an Xbox.
If you
Even
have a
if you
Zune,
want-
it doesn't work. Sorry.
Yeah, well, that's neither here
Will it
nor
even
there.
work on my phone?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, it's optimized for your
Yeah.
phone.
You can watch
with
as much porn as
Lightspeed
you want on your
protocol.
phone, dude.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fast. Also,
Wow.
speaking of actually working, it actually works with Netflix and other streaming services like that because they keep rotating their IPs, so they can't blacklist them fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, super fast, as the name would suggest. You get 500 up and down at least if you go to speedtest or fast.com to check it out. And if you go over to expressvpn.com/newbie Star Trek and you sign up for 12 months, you get an extra 3 months for free, which makes the entire package 49% off, which is a
Dang.
pretty dang good deal. And also, if you're worried about making that type of commitment, and I know it's a whole year, I get it. You can go for that 30-day money-back guarantee if you don't like how they've been treating you. And I get it. If you want that option to back out, it's there. So again, that's expressvpn.com/newbie Star Trek. And if you sign up for 12 months, you get an extra 3 months for free, which is a total savings of 49%.
Linkovich Chomovsky.
Linkovich Chomovsky.
Yeah. Go check out our Linkovich.
Oh, he's the guy who invented the hyperlink.
That's
Oh.
true. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
He's
actually
also-
a self-name.
He's also
Yeah.
the guy from Encino Man.
Boy, I'll Linkovich this.
Ricardo, could you please tell us what happened in this episode?
This
season
episode's
finale?
funny. It's the season finale. Is this a season finale? Because the next
Yes,
one
it is
is
the season
Yes.
finale of season 3. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So you know what's so funny?
What is it?
That there's a lot of I'm gonna say this now because I'll forget. All the technology, they have data, they have all this stuff, and no one thought of like, wait a minute, if they're like cyborgs, like cyborg vampires,
Mhm.
why don't we just do the old fucking infect them with the virus and see if like no one ever thought of that. I don't know if in future seasons they think of that, but it's like just fucking send them an AOL disk and tell them this is Picard, send a message.
Listen, we can't
Plug
use
this in.
Independence Day strats on Star Trek villains. It doesn't work. Okay.
but it's
Also, the premise of the Borg is that they're actually highly decentralized. So actually, a virus wouldn't affect their entire ship. They would just literally cut off the part of the ship that was infected and throw
And
it
the
away.
other thing is they don't even know that at this point. They've seen them once. Now they don't even know how to attack them. That's why they're so kind of menacing. They're trying to change the frequencies of their phasers, their shields, and they get maybe one shot, maybe one shield save, and then they're fucked again. So I think it's a good point, but I think at this point in their experience with the Borg, they don't even know that if they thought of it, that a virus would do any good, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Can I also throw out the crazy theory out there? I don't know. I haven't read like the behind the scenes stuff, but I think that the Borg are America. They're like, oh, we just want to conquer everything. And it's like, yeah, you guys want to be the best, and but the best at nothing.
Interesting.
Like they're like, oh yeah, we're going to conquer everything and be the best. But the best of what? Nah, it doesn't matter. We're just the fucking best. We're going to conquer everything. Yeah, but for what reason? Oh, because we're number one. Yeah, but
We're number one.
but for what reason? Because that's what the plants crave. It's like we're fucking idiots, and that's my theory. And I don't know if in the future they talk about that, but
I mean, that's definitely an interpretation of at least like unchecked imperialism.
yeah.
That makes sense.
Like the British Empire might be a better analog in this case.
Well, I mean, the modern American imperialist, empire
Well, I think
is
there's
definitely
and
real.
there's-
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's something to be said about taking one culture's thing and then appropriating it to yourself and making it your own thing, so people think that, oh,
Yeah.
that's an American thing.
Yeah.
Or,
Actually, this is
True.
exactly what the Romans did. Actually,
Yeah.
the Roman
Don't know.
Empire
It's a goddamn America.
well, America took a lot from the Romans. So
Yeah.
it all
That's
kinda
true.
connects.
That's true. Yeah. And America is doing that too, to the extent that, like, even countries we haven't like necessarily conquered, but are allies with, like Japan and Korea.
Yeah,
they
like,
have
we'll
been
take their sweet
very
ramen.
influenced by American culture.
Yeah.
To like kind
Yeah.
of change the way they even dress and the way they decide to approach things culturally. So yeah, it is a thing.
That's my
Culture
theory.
has
So,
become the new preferred way to conquer.
Yeah, cultural.
So, like-
To be fair, cultural conquest. The Romans also knew this. They realized it was smarter and easier just to assimilate someone's culture into a way that's compatible with their current culture, so that the local people just go, oh yeah, this is fine, and we're all Romans now, I guess, and it worked out, so
I want to buy a Christmas tree.
The Romans didn't know shit, dude. They're making fucking pizzas, Little Caesar and shit. So, God damn it, dude.
The entire Roman Empire is just franchises of Little Caesars.
We have 5 fucking Italian listeners that are fucking gonna send Nate mail now.
We have legions that are all hot and ready.
Yeah.
Canceling their Jerky Gent subscriptions on the right now.
He's like, I used to put the jerky in my pizza, but oh man, now we're really gonna get.
Don't worry, that's just his Mario impression.
Yeah.
That's my Mario.
It's his impression of Chris Pratt as Mario.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
That's Fabrizio on the Titanic. That's not a caricature of an Italian at all. I go to America. Whoa.
Yeah. I'm going to make the pizza once I'm in America.
That's crazy because that dude's Puerto Rican.
Oh my god, that's nuts! Really?
That's great.
Yeah.
James Cameron was like, "You're generally not American.
Yeah.
Let's make you Italian.
Let's see what happens."
Even though Puerto Rico is an American territory.
So this episode starts off, and they're going down. By the way, they have all these phasers and future technology, and I've seen them like zoom in on a planet. Like it's like zoom in, fucking zoom in, but they can't zoom in now. Like they're like, oh, we're going down to this planet, and it's like we're gonna be surprised that there's a fucking huge hole in the planet, but they couldn't just see it. They couldn't just see it from up there.
Yeah.
It's a practical joke by Chief O'Brien. Chief O'Brien knows what he's beaming them down into. No, you're right. You're at the center of town, aren't you? He's just laughing under that thing.
Yeah, but I don't understand. Like they've done this before. Like they're like, oh, well, this is weird. Like this planet's blah blah blah.
It's just
and,
for dramatic effect. That's all.
Yeah. But I don't like.
I mean, it's the same general thing where it's like, you know how like in a zombie movie everything's dead silent until
like
you
28
see
days
the
later
zombie?
scene.
Yeah.
It's a 28 days later scene where you're like going, oh my god, everything's gone. It's
funny
crazy.
in like a real life situation, I'm making air quotes. If zombies were alive, they would be bumping into shit. It'd be really loud. Just fucking zombies.
Well,
just
that's
knocking
my
over shit.
point. I'm always getting mad at zombie movies for doing that stupid shit.
Oh yeah, and in the zombie survival guide that Dan and I both read, like it's very clear that zombies, like you would just always hear them coming towards you. Just be like, what the fuck? You go crazy because the entire city would just be full of shuffling people. Just like
don't stop. They don't rest.
That's really funny. That actually ruins every zombie story I've ever heard now, because that horde would be making so much noise just walking through the forest. Well, we can just tiptoe that way. There's 1,000 zombies over there.
Yeah, but the zombie survival guide also points out that this would drive you insane because you would just keep hearing it. So that's actually even worse than not hearing anything. Because over time, you just be like, "Oh my god,
you just can't get away from it.
Stop." Yeah,
or maybe
the danger is always approaching.
Maybe you tune it out and get desensitized.
Slightly noise at some point.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
So these dudes go down to the planet, and they're like, "Oh, we're supposed to go check out this planet," but it's not. It's the city that they're going to see that's not there, and it's like a beautiful painting.
It's a great map painting. I like it.
It is.
Yeah, it's
It's a good map painting, but it looks. I'll tell you what it looks like. I'll tell you what good in a different direction it looks. It looks like a really cool scene in like Robert Rodriguez Sin City, where it's like we made it look like a comic book, but it's real people in it. You know.
Oh, yeah.
To be fair, also like they were literally drawing it for broadcast television, which would be at 360p.
Exactly.
So, so that's why they're watching like, this will work.
I'm watching it on my lowest resolution monitor, and it still looks,
I like how you can clearly tell that this civilization used rebar.
Yeah. But just a bunch of rebar.
Well, there was only 900 people there. It's not like they had.
That's also true. Yeah, it was a pretty small colony.
It was a small colony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's 2 people that show up, and it's Carol Shelby and Commander, or what is this guy? A fucking admiral?
He's an admiral, I think. Yeah.
He's an admiral.
And Shelby, immediately, I'm like, uh-oh. There's a lot of tension going on here.
Mhm.
I thought at first I was like, oh, Riker's gonna try to fuck her, dude, immediately.
Oh, yeah.
And when they left together, I was like, oh, he's gonna fuck her before the poker game. But then I was completely wrong. They really kind of threw me for a loop here.
Mm-hmm.
And
she's the secret, like potential next season second character. That's what they're setting her up as. You know?
Yeah.
Mm.
And so I was like, oh, interesting. And then this old admiral, fucking perv, like he's like, oh, you better watch out for her. Fucking
Who has not aged?
Yeah.
Has not aged.
Yeah,
well
that was pretty disgusting.
Yeah, he's like, you better watch out, man.
It also comes off as pretty believable.
Yeah, it's true. It's
two
true.
old white guys
you're
just
like,
talking about
Two
like
old
young
dudes
women.
Yeah,
talking
like
about-
that's exactly what they would say.
Seems
That's
like
100% of what
they just
happens when girls
recorded
walk out
this
the door.
in the halls of Congress, and fucking these old white perverts. One of them just basically goes, "Hey, this chick, she's too hot to handle, dude. You know what I mean?
Real
she's-
firebrand.
Yeah. Watch out, dude. Don't get in trouble
Wink,
like I
wink.
did."
Oh,
Basically, I feel like those are the undertones of this conversation, dude.
a little bit.
And Picard's like, yeah, it's fine. I don't fuck anybody unless it's Beverly. And then I kill her husband. I make sure I kill her husband. And then he spits on the floor.
Beverly, he doesn't really
Yeah.
fuck anymore. He only fucks people when he's on an adventure. Then
Yeah, that's true.
he'll
That's
fuck
true.
all he
That's
wants.
when he gets turned on, when he's in danger.
Yeah.
And Shelby, I'm so torn with the whole Shelby and Riker thing. Like, part of me is like, well, yeah, like she should be outspoken and like be like, fuck you, you're not listening to me. I'll fucking go around you. But then sometimes I'm like, you don't know what's going on. Like the group dynamic, like you can't come in. It's like when somebody new starts at your job and you're like,
No, absolutely.
oh, you don't, dude, it doesn't work
Please
this way,
don't
dude.
change the workflow. We've
Yeah,
established this workflow for a reason.
Yeah.
If you have questions, please ask us.
Yeah.
And just let us know
No, but she
why
has
you may want to change the workflow.
She just like has no respect for rank
Yes.
or like
or anything.
command or seniority or, which is very strange because this is an operation.
It's a military organization,
It's
essentially.
very much
exactly.
you
Right.
obey the rank of whatever. It's not like you can just go rogue. Like at my job, I'd be like, "Who the fuck are you? I don't care about you. Like, I don't care about your fucking rank. Like, oh, you're my fucking boss. Scott knows me well. I don't care who the fuck you are. I'll fucking chew you out. I'll fucking
Hell
yell.
yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
Sit
And
back
I'll
with
do what I
popcorn and
want.
watch it.
So, but in this case,
But the commanding officer, on a
yeah,
starship,
no,
you know?
it's totally inappropriate. And I think it's actually doing her disservice.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I think they want to have her be the strong female lead character, which I think is a good general direction.
Yeah.
But I think it's at the cost of her credibility. I think it actually makes her seem unstable as a character, not.
But there's a thin line between like, oh, she's a strong-willed woman, and the fact that she's like, whoa, she's putting people in danger because she's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like jumping up ahead slightly when she just decides to go to the planet with Data.
Yeah.
But didn't even tell
that's not okay.
Riker and Geordi. You could at least leave a note.
Or they have communicators
Don't
to
do
say,
it.
hey, landing party, there's going to be a storm in an hour. Why don't we leave now instead?
Yeah,
But
why
See,
not?
that's what I don't get. Is
They
she
just go and take off on a whim.
She chose not to communicate, and then I think her words when she landed, she's like, "Oh, when they got there, it was like early bird gets the worm, huh?" And it's like, no, that's not.
No, bitch.
Like, that's not
not how it works.
appropriate.
And it makes her argument seem disingenuous because the actual situation looks more like she wanted to basically outperform Riker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Which is totally fucked up. It's not just like, oh, there's a storm.
I feel like
coming
she
and I
makes
wanna
that
be it.
intention clear. Like
Yes.
she pretty much declares to him, like, I'm gunning for your job, man.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, which
but
is
only
really
because
fucked up.
she thinks that he's leaving. So in a way, her intentions aren't, for
But
lack
those
of a better
intentions
word,
solidify
evil.
over the course of the episode. Because
Yeah.
Because
by the time they're like having a confrontation in the elevator, she's like, get out of the way.
Yeah.
Like you're
Oh,
in
that
my
was-
way.
That was
Yeah.
nasty. That was
She
bad.
literally tried to
Because
make it out of the way.
she didn't know that he wasn't taking the captaincy that he was being offered.
No, but
That's-
it's still whether he was staying or going, she was gunning for that job. She didn't care.
100%. Yeah,
But
totally.
I think, like, for example, if her response to learning that he wasn't leaving was to be like, oh, okay, then I'll back off.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. But I think her approach is, well, if you're not leaving, I'm going to force you out of that job by outperforming you. which is
Yeah,
like very
I'm here
aggressive.
now, and I'm not leaving here without
Yeah.
your job, whether you're taking the captaincy or I'm usurping you.
Yeah.
Which is
and it's not
that's
so-
definitely overintended.
And I guess, like, to her credit, it's not like she's saying, like, I am just here to take your job. It's like, I think you are no longer fit for this job if you think that my ideas are bad. You know?
Yeah.
It's like,
She's basically saying,
I'm declaring myself, like, better for this job than you currently are, Riker.
and you're not fit to be a captain at this point if you're being the way that you are, is some of the undertones I got from her, because you're not willing to take the drastic steps, which is going to make you not only a bad first officer that I deserve your job for, it will now make you a bad captain if you're not willing to leave to take that job. So now you're the worst of both worlds. Thank you.
But I also take issue with the fact that everyone keeps saying, "Oh yeah, she seems like Riker when he was younger." Because like you look at first season Riker, and he's actually like kind of a Boy Scout in the sense that he kind of follows Commander or.
But
Captain
season 1
Picard's-
Riker isn't necessarily young Riker.
But isn't that what they
young Riker would have been serving on a different ship,
right? But Picard directly says she reminds you of a certain first officer who started
first
with the
lieutenant.
Ship. Yeah,
first lieutenant, not first officer.
Oh, first lieutenant.
It's his earlier rank, which is what prompted Picard to promote him into the first officer role.
Oh, I didn't catch
so he
that, actually.
So he actually knew of Riker before Enterprise.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, okay. So there is like a whole context to Riker's earlier career. I guess we just haven't seen.
I believe so. I'm going to get railed on Twitter, like I said, that the Klingons' first appearance was in Day of the Dove, which I totally fucked over. I'm sorry, everybody in the world.
Fuck them. Who cares?
Whatever. I realized as soon as we did that, I'm like, I gotta go fact check myself, and I was like, God damn it, I knew I got that wrong.
It's fine.
But I do believe.
Scott, we're gonna mute you for 5 minutes, dude. God damn it, dude! You embarrassed all of us, dude.
Hockey rules.
Hockey rules.
I do believe that he said it reminds me of a young lieutenant or a young, something like that had the same brash, and that made me think of him being a good first officer. So
he's like, he reminds me of a young Ethan Hawke.
A training.
So anyway, they're talking, and basically this admiral's like, "Hey, watch out for this chick, dude, because you're gonna get in trouble, dude. If you know what I mean. If you know what I mean, pal."
And then he's also like, she walks out the door.
Yeah, and then he basically says like, "Hey." So he basically outs the thing that Riker's up for, which is he's up for another captain position.
The third time he's been offered a captaincy.
Yeah.
And that if he doesn't take it, he might be stuck as the first officer for the rest of his career, which doesn't matter. And then, so I'll say this. So there's a lot of talk about her taking over Riker's position and stuff. And like when she finds out he's not going to leave, could not be leaving probably. She says, well, I'm going to take your position then. This is what I thought. Oh, best of both worlds. She's also there. She's going to take Deanna Troi as well. Best of both worlds. And then it didn't come out that way. I was so many theories that I had didn't work.
Well, wait. Explain that theory. I'm a little
like she's gonna have her cake and eat it too, if you know what I mean.
She's gonna replace Deanna
and steal Deanna Troi.
Oh, steal Deanna. Oh,
hold on, wait a minute. Take Riker's job and also
take his lady,
Riker?
dude. Yeah, no, fuck Deanna, dude.
Oh, Deanna's gonna go. Okay,
yeah, he
did not see
both
that.
things.
Okay.
Both worlds, not only the position, but also the lady friend.
Play both sides of the field. Okay.
Exactly, dude. So
nice.
Anyway, they're
women.
Yeah, there's another poker scene which is unneeded in this. We could have cut this poker scene and been done.
They're hilariously cramped on this little table.
Yeah.
It's a shitty poker table, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it was a lens. Like he's like, all we have is a goddamn fucking. All we have is a 25, and he's like,
that truth is fucking wide, dude.
He's like, go find Terrence Malick and tell him to give you one of those wide ass 15s, and we'll tell him we're gonna film a wheat field, and they're like,
the wide shot of the table, it looks like the lamp above them isn't even like above the table correctly. It's just there to be the top of the frame.
Yeah,
it does. It doesn't look like it's at the same plane as the table.
It's not where it
looks like it's tilted towards the camera because it's almost the same level.
It might actually be held on like a C-stand to just simulate the top of a light. I think you're right.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And so they're playing poker, and basically it's goddamn fucking. I don't know why, dude. I swear to God, every ensign on this goddamn fucking ship is secretly planning to kill Wesley, dude. He's like, he could take the turbo lift, and then it doesn't stop, and then he fucking hits the bottom, dies, dude. And when I was like, well, he goes into the holodeck, we fill it full of water, he fucking dies. And then they all are competing to kill Wesley, and it like cancels itself out. He never gets killed.
It's like a Rube Goldberg machine that keeps happening around him and never touches him.
I don't know why, but I just imagine a bunch of other ensigns filling a pillowcase full of like tricorders.
And just going
like
bad boys.
Yeah, tricorders specifically.
Or comm badges, just lots of comm badges. Just hitting him.
So they have Wesley there, fucking goddamn idiot, and he basically gets outbluffed by Riker, right? And damn it, fucking cat's loud as shit. And
what is he? I haven't heard this expression before. Riker says, "Time to put on the long pants." Is that?
I don't know, like, because if you're a boy, you wear shorts.
Big boy pants. Big boy.
Maybe, I think that's what that means. Because I guess little boys wear shorts and men wear long trousers.
Like,
I guess traditionally schoolboys did wear shorts.
Maybe he's referring to the costume in Justice. Those shitty, sexy planet costumes.
I think it's an old thing because one of the things, and I don't know, I overheard somebody talking. It's probably my wife or somebody that I was listening to in the background was saying that. What's the fucking idiot guy from England? He's not the king. He's a prince. Prince Tim?
Prince Edward?
Prince Tim.
One of those two. Edwards or one of those dudes.
Prince Harry?
Charles?
The older one.
Charles. I think it's Charles.
Timmy.
Oh,
Archduke Chocula?
Yeah. Count Chocula. His kid, Charlie or whatever, you bet my finger. That kid can't wear pants. He's got to wear shorts until he's a certain age, and then he can start wearing pants. That's why if you see him, it could be cold.
What?
It could be a cold day in Europe. Yeah, look it up. It could be a cold day in Europe, and they still wear shorts because he's a child.
Legally not allowed to
the queen will fucking cut off his legs.
Beat him with a cane.
Yeah. He's like, fuck you, Charlie. Boom. He's like, yeah, bet me. So anyway, he's putting on the big boy pants, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
and then
but then he's not because he doesn't go for the bluff.
I guess long pants is a less what's the term I'm looking for? Male,
diplomatic?
Female,
a less
sexist way,
misogynistic.
Yeah, instead of saying
perverted?
big boy pants, long pants instead of big boy pants.
It's more gender neutral, I guess.
Gender is the word I was looking for, and I couldn't find it for some reason. Bam. Yes. It's a less gender-specific insult to him. Got it.
That's true.
And so they basically Riker bluffs Wesley, but then what's her name?
Shelby
Cobra. So Shelby's like, I call your bluff, and then she wins. She ends up winning because she's like, nah, this guy's a fucking. I know a liar when I see one, and this guy's a liar.
Yeah. And it's a direct reference to Measure of a Man, actually, when Data could not call the bluff.
Yeah.
And the first person who's actually been able to best Riker in general is his potential replacement. So
So she goes down to the planet with Data, and a couple of things are wrong. One, she breaks protocol. Two, she doesn't know. We know that eventually it's the Borg, but what if there's some weird like werewolf fucking planet? Then the werewolves fucking they ate everybody, and then they dug a big ass hole. You know, they're big ass werewolves. We don't know anything, and she could have been like killed. There's so many things that could have happened, and she's an idiot. Like,
yeah,
I fought the whole episode being like, well, no, she's just strong, and she's trying to to like
you're
assert her
hoping you
opinion.
can have that point of view of her.
Yeah,
but it's just
they make it really hard. The writers probably men. Anyway, so
there is a neat a very small detail I don't want to skip over because I caught it when I watched it yesterday for this. When she says early bird gets the worm, and then everybody knows the joke from Data is like, I think she aired. There's no life forms or birds or anything. But when she says that, immediately Data with his tricorder starts scanning the ground and then scanning the air for birds and worms.
Oh, I love that.
Just off the side of the frame, and it's such a great Brent Spiner acting. It's such a great.
I didn't even realize
that. Feels like
that.
an ad lib.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Right. You're right. It probably wasn't even a director thing. He probably just was like, a worm. I'm just going to look down at the ground. Really nice, really subtle touch. Just wanted to mention it.
Yeah,
good detail.
And then the next scene is by the way, this episode, if you're following along with my It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia titles, this one should have been called Picard Gets and then quotes taken.
Riker is Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if they had the real Liam Neeson, dude, he would have had him back in a day and a half, dude.
He would be back. He would
just punch right through the Borg cube.
First he would have called him and he's like, put him up, and then he's like, FaceTime these fuckers, and he's like, guys, I'm gonna find you
with 45 edits in between of how he gets from one end of the hallway to the other end of the hallway.
Last week.
Yeah.
No, I heard it.
Oh man.
But that's a great. I mean,
it's a good joke.
That's a Liam Neeson action movie joke.
Yeah. I want now like a hypercut version of First Contact where they're doing all the action stuff. It's just cut really fast.
Hypercuts.
And so they come back to the ship and they're doing a bunch of analysis and shit. And they're trying to come up with like, okay, so like they figure out it's like probably the Borgs, and they're like, well, we got to figure out how to beat them because last time they fucked us up, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, well, if we like develop a weapon, blah blah. And she's like, well, hear me out, dude. We make a little nuke, see what happens. And like, well, let's just wait. And then she's always trying to pull rank. She's like, well, I think we should talk to the captain, see what he says, because I think he should know the options. And it's like, no, I'll assess the options and I'll give him like the top 5, not your shitty fucking ideas, dude. Let's build a nuke. Get the fuck out of here, dude. And she's constantly going over his head, and I don't like that. I mean, I don't know if she's coming back next season. I don't know what's up, but
yeah, I don't like it.
She's definitely being set up, and they're trying to like. I think the show wants to make her seem like just slightly too ambitious, but definitely hyper competent. So I think they are trying to make her like the Riker sort of.
She's the Dr. Pulaski.
But they're
Commander
making
Riker.
you not like her. They're really making her not
like Pulaski. Well, people didn't like Pulaski because Pulaski came off comparative to Crusher. She came off very abrasive, very like, I'm going to talk back to you, Captain. I'm going to be the Bones to what Crusher, McCoy Bones.
Yeah.
I'm going to be abrasive, and I'm going to talk back, and I'm going to be gruff. And I think they were trying to do that with Shelby, just depending on how the season 4 was going to start with whoever was going to be cast in it. And they were just turning that into we got to make the female Riker seem stronger, and making her stronger meant just she was more of an asshole rather than just being a strong, competent woman.
I mean, it also gives you wiggle room for like them to develop her into someone more likable, which I believe
story arc for sure.
Pulaski. Yeah. Pulaski.
Yeah, it gives her a place to start.
I mean, I don't know where they're going with her character. Obviously, I haven't watched.
Well, here's what happens in part 2.
This is my first time watching it. Yeah, Scott, tell us what happens. Well, I guess what I'm saying is that they could, I could have gotten her strength and her knowledgeable, competency without the asshole, ness of it. Yeah. So if that was their attempt to be like, she's a strong woman who knows what she wants, and she's super driven and she's super competent, but she's also an asshole, like, we could have probably left that out, unless there is a storyline or some kind of arc that maybe I'm missing in the next episode or future episodes where this kind of comes into play. Like, why is she so I don't know. Like, why is she acting this way?
Like, why
she's aggressive.
I forget, Sarah.
Yeah.
Did you watch season 2 with us? I forget if you were watching it with us.
I did, but
when
probably
Pulaski first arrived.
Yeah, I think loosely. Like, I watched on and off.
Do you remember what her first scenes were like, where she was like super racist against Data?
No, I don't really remember. So did they play her that way?
Yeah, she was like super racist.
She kept spitting at him going, fuck you, dude, this is our town.
If you only look at Pulaski in the first couple episodes she appears in, she's a complete just a huge jerk.
Okay, so what was the payoff? What was the arc of her being a jerk? Was there some kind of redemption?
For Pulaski, her arc is that she comes to realize that Data is a valuable person. Like, person as in like entity.
Oh, and I shouldn't treat him like shit?
Yeah, I shouldn't just treat him like a machine.
Because that's how she views him at first.
Yeah, she literally thinks he's like a toaster.
She realizes, dude, this dude fucks. This dude fucks. And
This
he's like,
isn't just a toaster. This is the brave little toaster.
yeah, he's like, yeah, this
I
dude
see.
fucks, and I fucks with him, and then she lets him alone.
The better Toy Story.
I don't know. I mean, the only arc I can
Sadder.
imagine is that maybe she. I mean, what is the payoff of not paying attention to rank?
I thought you were
And-
just gonna say to not paying attention. That'd be-
Well, no,
Well,
what's the
just
payoff
like
to
to
not
not
being an
adhering to
asshole?
rank.
yeah.
I do think the writers intend to color Shelby as someone who is overly reckless because you're taking
Okay.
time. They're taking
Yeah.
time for Geordi to say like, well, yeah, she fucked up, Data.
Yeah.
like
Because just hypothetically
Yeah.
speaking, a hypothetical arc could be like Shelby is like, becomes, member of crew, needs to go on these adventures, becomes too zealous on one mission, gets someone killed, and it
Yeah.
weighs heavily on her, and then suddenly
I
that
mean,
changes her
if that's
character.
is that the right?
Hypothetically,
Are those the right
hypothetically.
personality traits for for an officer like that? A commander,
To be-
I guess.
to be
Yeah, but
fair,
to be
I
fair,
also
Pulaski was making those moves too. So like you felt that way.
Yeah. And also, to be fair, I've always thought that Riker was never really that competent as a first officer. I think
I have a
That's
theory
true.
about that,
Okay, go for it.
and I have a theory why he's not a captain. Because he could keep fucking up, and they'll always blame the captain. But the captain's so well respected that they'll never kick him out,
It's
and
Picard.
he can do whatever he wants. Basically, Riker will, and then it's like, well, I fucked up again.
I have literally seen
Mm.
people at some jobs that definitely do that,
yeah.
where they don't accept the supervisor seat because they know that they can keep doing what they want to without
That's
taking
true. That
responsibility.
could definitely. I mean, clearly he's comfortable, right? Like, I mean, he says that in the episode. He's comfortable.
I would have hoped that his reason that he says directly as he's talking to Deanna is, well, if I leave the Enterprise, I won't see you anymore,
Yeah,
And I was hoping he would
Yeah.
be like,
That would've
I
been
was hoping
nice.
for the conversation to kind of go like,
me too.
but Riker, I thought you decided to put your relationships on
Is that your
hold.
Deanna
Yeah.
accent?
Hello,
Charlie.
Riker, I thought we decided to put our
Riker.
relationships on hold
Charlie,
for your career. And then he goes, well,
Wow.
maybe now.
Riker, why'd
relation-
you bite my finger?
You bit my finger.
And maybe then he goes, well, maybe I'm starting to realize relationships are as important as my career. And she
Yeah.
goes, are you saying what I think you're saying, Riker?
He sounds
then
now.
we
He
have
sounds
a
like
completely
Riker
different
sounds like
episode.
Forrest Gump. He's my mama used to tell me that relationships are important.
Oh, that's the way you talked about Wesley.
That's true. Yeah.
Wait, so
Um,
this is your fan fiction, right?
This is my fan. This is what I was hoping that scene would be.
Yeah, but what it really, it kind of is a little bit. That's what I thought it was going, because I thought it was the Notebook scene, in the rain. Like, what do you want? And she does say that. She's like, what do you want? And she's like, I don't know. What do you want? It's simple. What do you want? If it was raining, it'd be the same fucking scene.
That's so
Raining
And
funny.
and
Riker turns to her and goes, I want the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Boom. They said the names of
To be
It
continued.
just says to be continued right there.
Oh my god, that's actually amazing. We should reshoot this.
So
Our
you know,
way.
at the beginning of that conversation between Deanna and Riker, like Riker starts off with like, "I sacrificed so much," and then he gestures like toward Deanna as
No,
he
no,
says
it's
that.
very
No,
direct. Yeah,
yeah,
he's
it is.
directly talking about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like so
He's like,
that
you know
is how they address the relationship. That's just all you get.
But I was hoping
Yeah.
that he had like changed his mind about his career, and that
Nah,
because
dude.
that would be a really good personal reason for why he isn't leaving.
Nah,
Now that
he
would be
likes-
a
'cause
hook.
They let him watch the Harp Ladies. No other ship or captain would let him
No
do
other
it.
ship
Yeah.
has holodecks this advanced.
So, yeah, no, I know.
Ostensibly, that is currently true.
Yeah, this is
That's
the
why
best.
he lets
This is the Suzuki of fucking ships, dude. So then the admiral shows up. The admiral shows up and he's like, "Hey, so the USS fucking Catherine Zeta-Jones just they disappeared, dude. Fucking Bermuda Triangle shit, dude."
Bermuda Triangle.
And he's like, "Oh fuck!" And now they know the Borg. They're coming, dude. They're like vampires in the night. And so they're like, "All right, well, let's try to figure out what the fuck's we're gonna do, dude, because they can't beat them."
Mhm.
So they finally meet the cube,
Mhm.
and they hail them, and there's no response. And finally, they do respond, and they're like, "Hey, we're the goddamn Borg motherfuckers, and we're gonna fuck you up, dude. We fucks you up, little Belsky.
Well, we fucks you up, Picard. Like, we want you, Picard.
Yeah.
And
they
they specifically want Picard.
We want you to come over here. We want you to be, you know, I don't know what they really want. I guess if you find out they wanted him to turn him into the Borg, but so far in this episode, they don't say why.
Yeah, they're not super clear as to why it has to be Picard.
My theory is that they're like, we're really curious about this fucking Earl Grey shit. But not until you're one of us. Can we really know what the fuck is happening in your head?
I think they do say specifically.
What do they say?
No, they don't. Unless I missed it. Like, what did they say?
They essentially tell him that he's got to be a voice between the Borg and
I mean, that's
Earth,
like why they want him, but why does it have to be
like
him?
that's what they intend to use him for, but it's like
specifically Picard,
you have a really wonderful voice. We must use it.
That's what I thought too. It's like actually when they said that, I was like, oh, they like his theatrical acting and his skills. They're like, we love your acting and your Shakespeare.
You are a fantastic
actor. What you said, Roxana. We were very moved.
They should have gotten fucking Gilbert Gottfried. So basically, they want him as a go-between, but I don't understand. They know how to speak to humans.
They know English.
They know English.
I think they understand that it would be psychologically very damaging for the humans if the captain of their flagship is assimilated and turned into the main voice
scary?
for the
Yeah, but Marvin, you think everybody on all planets that are ruled by the fucking Federation know who fucking Picard is? No,
actually, yes. Picard is extremely famous.
That sounds outlandish.
Yeah,
Picard's actually extremely famous.
He's not John Lennon, dude.
Federation.
He's not John Lennon, dude.
He's like the equivalent of like he probably would be the equivalent of like.
Is he like an
mentioned
Oprah?
Colin Powell before, right? It'd be like Colin Powell.
Oh, nobody knows who Colin Powell is.
Nobody knows who Colin Powell. They think it's
You
know who Colin Powell is.
We do. Not nowadays. No one. No, I'm not going to stop someone on the street. They'll be like, "Do you know who Colin Powell is?" They're going to be like, "No, I have no idea who that is."
They're like,
also, you just compared Jean-Luc Picard to Colin Powell.
Yeah,
just in terms of fame, not in terms of policies.
They're like,
there's 1,000 other people.
Cancel this man right now.
Do you know Colin Powell? And they're like, is it kind of like the Oxford comma?
I'll say this. I'll say that this is a bit of headcanon, and I don't think this has ever been said as to far as why the Borg would actually do this. But in that episode, when Q sent the Enterprise,
are you talking about future stuff? Oh, you're talking about the other episode,
the very first Q-Who, when he threw him out there, and they drilled into the Enterprise and pulled out part of the Enterprise. You got to imagine there's a lot of computer data, not data, but computer information. I mean, they removed several decks of the ship.
That's true.
So there's all kinds of information in there. If they had assimilated, again, this is total headcanon, but if they had assimilated that and understood that, okay, the captain of the ship, this is the Federation flagship, the Federation is this big thing, he's the captain of the ship. If we need to quickly communicate to these people without destroying them all, but we want to assimilate them without them fighting back, he's going to be our liaison to get them to do that quickly. So you can kind of work backwards to say that they had the information that Picard would be the one that they would need from that first episode.
I don't accept your reality, and I substitute it for my own. Here's my theory, Scott. Here's my
because
theory.
I just came up with it just now. But
they suck up the middle part, right? The core. They take it, and that's where all the servers were. Not using goddamn ExpressVPN. Hear me out.
Shit.
They get all the fucking Harp Lady footage, and they're like, we don't get the Harp Lady shit, dude. We need Picard to fucking translate this shit. You guys are watching some weird-ass YouPorn shit. What the fuck is going on? And they're like, that's the only way we'll understand humans is by the pornography they fucking watch.
Why do you insert things into holes?
Yeah.
Where are the Harp Ladies? Resistance is futile.
Yeah. And they just deploy fucking Harp Ladies everywhere. And that's how they conquer.
How the Borg become Harp Ladies on the bridge.
So basically the Borg are like, hey, we want Picard, hand him over, taking part 3. And if you don't, we'll just blow the shit out of you, dude. So whatever you want to do. And they get tractor beamed. And then the way they get out, but by the way, fucking Shelby, she just pulled rank. She didn't go, hey, Captain, here's an idea. Yeah. She just gave him an order. She was like, well, we should give him the option and let him fucking pick and blah, blah, blah. But then she was like, fuck telling Riker or the captain who are sitting next to me, I'm just going to tell fucking Data to do something.
But by the way, this is after the scene where she had offered a solution to Riker about like preparing your ship's defenses because they can't build the anti-Borg weapon they need like 2 years to build it. So since they can't build it in time, let's try to retrofit some of our current weapons to work. But in the meantime, while we're doing that, let's split up the ship, because if the ship is split up into the saucer and battle sections, maybe they will be distracted. And Riker goes, no, that's stupid. One of the parts can't like navigate in subspace correctly because it doesn't have an impulse engine. And then she's like, well, let's just try it out. And he goes, no, I will give it this idea to the captain, but then don't talk about this until we've talked to the captain. But then we find out the next scene, she just went straight to the captain and went right over his head.
That scene pissed me off. My blood was boiling.
That's the scene where you go, you know what? You're being an asshole.
When he walked in and saw her there, I literally screamed. I was like, fuck you, bitch.
Were you mad at her or were you mad at Picard for being, why weren't you in the briefing now? But were you just sitting in here?
He's tired.
I'm mad at her.
Yeah,
I can't believe she specifically went behind his back.
Yeah.
And he handled it with grace, honestly. I give it to Riker because I would have been yelling and screaming at Gil. Been like, what the fuck are you doing
I was gonna
here?
tell him.
You fucking
Where did you go?
bitch, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, go get your worms, you fucking idiot. So then basically they get sucked up, and then she has the idea of like, hey, shoot it in like weird intervals and just confuse it. Basically, she's like, just confuse it. That's the solution to everything in this episode. Just confuse it.
Just confuse it so it won't be able to adapt.
Keep rotating, keep spinning towards victory.
Yeah. Yep. So then they get out, they escape, and then they're on the run. And then the fucking Borg show up. They appear. They fucking take fucking Picard. And they take him, dude. They kidnap him just like Taken 1, dude.
That's exactly how the girl disappeared in Taken 1 as well.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I like that. Like they have the elaborate special effects of like the Borg teleportation effect, but the one that's dead on the floor, it disappears like an enemy in a video game.
Yeah.
It just fades away.
And leaves his outline on the carpet where he was laying there.
Yeah, I love the outline on the carpet. That's like a great detail.
It's such a weird. Why did that one leave that way? I don't understand.
Well, it was like in order to fade away, you have to get a little hot.
They had nothing to gain from him. He was already gone.
Wait, is that implied that they burned him? Is that what they implied? That he was burned alive or something?
I don't know, but
he kind of just fades away like some sort of like video game thing.
I think the implication is just that because everything else is living inside the other cyborgs, that the transport thing, and then he fades away, and it's just like, oh, there's a little nod to the audience. We know that one's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this, and this is a very quick aside because it's online and everyone can watch it, but there's an artist that did an animation of this scene of Picard being kidnapped in the animation style of Star Trek the Animated Series.
Oh, cool.
And it's fucking brilliant. It's fantastic.
Someone is doing a few scenes. Like they did like the Voyager intro.
He did Voyager, same guy. Yes, the same guy.
Okay.
I think even I've been seeing that in my recommended. I've just not been clicking because I have no context for it.
Yeah, there's a girl online. She's got a website. And she did a Picard XXX parody.
Oh yes.
All right. This is
Wait,
Ricardo linked this to us in our Discord.
Do I have to open up another tab for after I watch the Key and Peele thing?
You have to use ExpressVPN, and then you don't have to worry about any tabs, dude.
Anyway, but this is that scene that the animated thing was, and it's fantastic.
To be fair, the thumbnail you shared with us, Ricardo, was very high production value.
Yeah,
I know, dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I didn't get
it's even in VR. That's crazy.
Oh wow!
Man.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
we're living in the future.
Yeah, it's basically
XXX VR.
It's a goddamn holodeck style. You get in there and experience it.
I mean, the closest you got right now.
They should have just kept that. That would have been called like Best of Both Worlds. That would have been a cool that's a really good
porn title.
Yeah, for sure.
So hear me out. My other theory. When I got halfway through the episode, I had this theory. Because eventually Riker becomes the captain of the ship, right? Basically.
Yes.
By default it falls to him. And I thought, oh my God, dude, this is all simulation. He's taking a test to be the captain.
Oh man!
my God.
This is
Oh,
what I'm in the
wow.
Kobayashi maroon
This is like his
thing.
Kobayashi. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is genius. And I thought, this is the best episode I've seen if this is true. And then it turned out not to be true. And I was very, very upset at myself for even
Well,
thinking
you don't know
that.
for sure yet. This is only
That's
part
true.
1 of
That's
2.
true.
So.
That's true.
That would have been an interesting turn of events.
Yeah. You're
You
like,
love
oh my
when
God.
it turns out things are a dream, or it turns out things are
I do. I
things are a holodeck.
That's like
Or-
your thing.
Or
You're
it
like,
was
you
time
love
travel
it.
all along.
Yeah.
Newhart is your
Like
favorite.
time travel,
Newhart's
I
your
can
favorite
get
series
behind.
ever.
Yeah.
The dream stuff, I'm not so fond of.
When Newhart
like a
wakes up
setup.
next to Suzanne Plachette, that's your
Oh wait,
favorite.
I think we've already gotten
thing
past
ever.
this scene by now. But just to get a quick check of everyone, what do people think of the scene Picard has with Guinan before he gets taken?
I was just going to talk about that because I feel like
That's a good scene.
They basically were like, we need to get every fucking location in this episode. Every location. The ready room, boom. The conference room, boom. We got the transporter fucking bullshit. We got every fucking room is in this, and they're like, we need the bar.
It's a very similar scene to his scene with Guinan in Yesterday's Enterprise when they talk at the N10 forward.
Yeah.
And it's fine. I think the scene's fine. And basically, we find out that Guinan's planet was,
We knew that. We knew that from Kihu. Yeah. I think it's interesting that because she has a very long-term, almost existential view of survival versus like Picard probably was, if he had the chance to respond to her, would be like, but that's no way to survive. That sounds awful. I don't want to do that. But I just think that's interesting that that was her way of consoling him almost. Yeah.
So the conversation's fine. Like I could have done without it. Like we get it. Like
it's not the greatest scene in the world.
Yeah, basically she's like, there's a lot of well, like humans will survive. There's so many goddamn humans. They're gonna be okay.
Like they can't
plague.
stomp on all the cockroaches, Picard.
That's what I wanted her to say. I wanted her to be straight up like, you guys are pieces of shit. Humanity should have never spread beyond Earth, dude. And you guys are pieces of shit and you survived, and you will survive because everyone's tried to kill you because you guys are pieces of shit and you've escaped.
I do find it interesting that this is essentially also a scene where Picard, I think, is also realizing that this is like probably a battle they're not going to win. He keeps like claiming that there's a shot.
That's why I thought this was a Kobayashi, bro.
Yeah.
So then he has by the way, we don't need this goddamn scene because of one thing. And if they're in an emergency situation, they literally were just fucking attacked. And he's going to a bar to talk to fucking Guinan of some philosophical bullshit. He should have been in the ready room just planning shit, dude, thinking up shit, having like 32 people in there just throwing ideas, dude. How do we explode this fucking comet, dude?
Well, I think he thinks they're gonna die, right? Like it was just wasn't that his whole thing? Right? Oh, I thought that he was like,
well, there's a subtext to it because he knows the history of touring the ship during
touring the ship thing.
Before a battle, and then Guinan says before a hopeless battle, and then he says, well, yeah, but the battle was won, but the captain was killed. So they're dealing with a lot of layers of where he could actually be feeling. And I think they've just already decided what they're going to do with this weapon that they've developed with the dish,
the deflector array,
with the deflector array, sorry, and I think he's resigned to, this is our one shot. We're going to go as far as we can go until we have to turn and make this shot. He doesn't know he's going to get abducted, obviously, but I think he's just like, it's this one shot or nothing. So that's why he's touring the ship. So it's like in his mind, this has to work, but he also knows that this is potentially couldn't work and we're all fucked.
Well, I think also in the sense that he wasn't sure if he could use it without getting the ship exploded in the same time. So
would have been worth it though.
Yeah, I think he's thinking like this is a potential worthy suicide mission if we have to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have a question though. If you live on this, I couldn't help but to think about every other passenger on the ship. Are we just all going down? Like,
Yeah,
Or
all the
just
children.
if you're on the
yeah.
Enterprise, you agree that you could just be killed at any moment.
Yep.
I feel
Yep.
like
Yeah.
they should have had escape pods by now.
They
Like,
do have
Yeah.
escape pods. The other thing they could do is, because a deflector dish is attached to the bottom part, the nacelle part,
Battle bridge.
the
Yeah.
battle bridge, they could separate the saucer section, have
Well,
I know,
them like
that's-
float away.
but they already talked to
I
us
think
and they
Shelby
said no.
suggested
And they
that
said
at
no.
some point. And
They
Riker
talked
turns
about
it
that,
down.
and they said it would leave the saucer section completely vulnerable because it can't outmaneuver or do anything, and they would just destroy it.
But here's the
quickly.
thing: is that we
So that's
saw in fucking the J.J. Abrams movies that everyone evacuated the goddamn ship in like 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, they
In 2
evacuated
minutes.
the goddamn ship, and Thor had a baby.
Wait, which movie? Oh,
first-
Well, that was a different ship.
I mean, well, that's
that
what
was
I'm
that was an
wondering,
older
like-
ship, Scott. That was an
the
older
Kelvin.
ship.
No, I know.
It's also a
Yeah,
different
they use
reality.
shuttles.
Kind of.
They use
But
shuttles.
if they can
Older,
evacuate
he
the-
stayed on the bridge to fight the Narada to get them out of there.
Yeah, it's kind of a different reality as well.
Did they
It's not
evacuate?
really the
I
same.
mean, I hope that the only people left on the ship are the only people in this room, right? Like, no?
No.
No.
That's still part of, even
Well,
though
that's
There's still
horrible.
1,000. There's still
There's still
1,000 people on the ship.
yeah, well, because
That's horrible.
like even though the Enterprise is essentially like a lot of times treated like a cruise ship, it is essentially still a military vessel.
Yeah.
So
It's a
everyone
cruise
coming
ship
on
that Ubers people, dude.
with guns.
And Sarah,
Yeah.
it's not just the people. There's cats. There's dogs.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not okay.
All kinds of
I'm not okay
kinds
with
of
this.
alien species on
harps.
there. You know, pets.
I'm
and
not
stuff,
okay
so-
with this. Not okay
Yeah.
with this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, what
so
was the cat? What from that episode?
Spot.
Patches.
Tim,
Patches.
There was one.
Timothy.
That
Yeah.
cat was fake.
Oh yeah, that was the fake cat.
Well,
Patches.
Data. Have we found?
Not
Have
yet.
we introduced
No,
Data?
no.
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
No.
Spoiler
Spot
alert.
Oh,
doesn't- Spot
damn it,
doesn't
Scott,
exist yet.
dude. Fuck.
Oh,
dude.
God damn it.
We're gonna Borg you, dude. So he gets kidnapped by the Borg.
He's gonna
and
Borg out.
the Borg.
Stand back. I'm going to.
Stand back, Scott. He's gonna
going to
Borg.
So
That makes more sense.
he gets taken by the fucking Borg, and he does this. He acts like when an American's acting drunk and stupid in another country, and then they're like, "Well, you can't arrest me because I have rights." And he's like, "No, sir, you're not in America
You're not in America
at all." And it's like he's like, "Do you know what you're doing?" Picard's like,
That's how
I'm a
Americans
captain."
acting Mexico. Like Americans
Yeah,
when they go
yeah.
to Mexico,
Well,
they're like, "What are you doing? I have rights." It's like, "Sir, you're in Mexico. Like, you know."
Yeah, we will fuck you up, dude, and then take your money, and then go to work on you. And so he's acting like that, like a tourist who's fucking drunk, and
Yeah,
he's like, "Do you know I have fucking rights?" And he's like, "No, you aren't shit, dude. Shut the fuck up and
Yeah.
don't ask us for Earl Grey, dude. We know what kind of porn you watch."
I do like that they keep going like everything you say is meaningless.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
death
so they
is meaningless.
they
Oh, so good.
they take him and
It's
they
irrelevant.
They run, dude. They
Irrelevant,
just
yes, irrelevant.
run. They're
Which is
hauling
slightly
ass.
different from meaningless.
That's true. That's true. It's true.
That is true.
That is
They're
true.
hot.
That's a very important distinction.
They're hauling ass. And the admiral, the sexist admiral's like, "Oh, we're on our way to help you." And he's like, they took the fucking captain, man. Like, help us out, dude. So Riker has to take over. He's now the captain, and they're on pursuit. And they're like, "Can you slow down the Borg ship because it's headed to Earth,
Yeah.
Right.
and it's going to cause all kinds of havoc." And my thing is like, maybe we don't do anything. Maybe humanity's had a good run. Let's let them go. Let's see. Let's let them run with this idea.
Here's
Let's
the thing.
see how
Here's the
this
thing.
plays out.
But also,
Yeah, I would wanna see how
in
it
my
plays out.
mind, I was also thinking, like, okay, so sure, the Enterprise couldn't do much to the Borg cube, right?
Yeah.
But they're gonna go by like the shipyards of Mars, right? Like, there's gonna be thousands of ships there.
But
Could
not
you
like
just-
this, dude. They're all round, dude. This one's
Utopia
cube. You don't
Croatia.
understand. This is a
This one's
square.
fucking cute,
Yeah.
right?
You,
Yeah.
you don't understand the physics of it, bro.
This
I
one's
think
cool.
you skip calculus, dude.
Well, they are planning. They are planning. They don't.
Have you ever
They
tried
are
to
planning
defeat a
to
Rice
meet them at
Krispie
Wolf
treat? You
359.
can't,
So
dude.
they are planning to attack them.
Fucking, have you ever
Yeah.
eaten a Captain Crunch? Seriously? It cuts the roof of your teeth.
shit!
Because it's square, dude.
It's square. It's fucking
And then you
square.
can't eat anything after that. You can't. You
Oh,
try
right.
to
You
have
can't-
a
you
drink
can't
after
feel
that. You
Yeah.
are fucked.
Yeah.
that's
So
I'm a
wait,
corn
do we
pops
know
guy.
what they're doing heading to Earth? We don't know why they're heading there.
They
right?
want to assimilate Earth.
Yeah,
It's
they want to.
assimilating. They're assimilating technologies and civilizations.
They wanna
That's their
kidnap
whole
Princess
plan. That's
I
their
Amidala,
mean,
whole
dude.
thing.
but humans though, like
Yep.
what humans
Yeah.
are not I mean,
Humans
we're
ain't
nothing
shit,
special.
dude.
Humans ain't shit. Yeah, I agree. Like,
it's
there's
so
gotta
funny
be someone
'cause, like,
better.
Yeah, they do have a thesis statement of we wish to improve ourselves, like with humanity.
Yeah, like,
It's
really?
like, me?
Yeah, it's true. I wanted to be like, what about Vulcans? They seem a lot cooler.
Also,
I don't know if you don't
no
want
one. Hear me out. Hear me out on this one, guys. And
What if they did assimilate humanity and then they just turned into like a really shitty Borg and they started becoming really incompetent?
They just get really
They
racist.
started infighting and getting really racist.
Yeah.
Super lazy.
Hear me out on this one. Why don't they just take Data and be like more like him?
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's the thing. In the
Okay.
original drafts of Best of Both Worlds, they were going to actually turn Picard into a Borg by melding him with Data. And they were going to be like, okay, that's going to be like the new like hyper Borg that the Borg are going to take.
How are they going to do that, like physically?
Exactly,
the
that
end
was
of
the
the-
issue.
They were going to put hair on
Sounds like-
Picard.
That sounds like this is an obscure reference, but that sounds like the end of the Black Hole. The Disney
wow.
movie, The
Are you
Black
talking
Hole.
about
yeah, yeah,
buttholes? Are you talking about butts?
No,
All I know about that movie is that it was very bad for Disney.
no.
Yeah.
It,
Well, they
it
showed
was,
assholes,
but
dude.
It's
To kids.
that's what the Black Hole was.
Yeah.
No, that movie is awesome. It's very underrated. It's one of my favorite movies, and it's probably because of nostalgia purposes that I totally love it. But at the end, they go to like a
what my
heaven
only
and hell
experience
thing.
with that movie is? I read like a photographic picture book, an
Yes.
adaptation of the Black Hole, and that's
No,
how I first learned of the name Maximilian.
Sean showed
Maximilian.
it to us in college. Do you not remember that? Like he showed that and the John Carpenter movie, the first one he ever made.
I was not there to watch every single movie you saw in college, Marvin.
Okay. I thought you saw that with me and Sean, but all right.
No, I did not see it.
As a child, I was very confused that the robot was called Maximilian, and the actor that played the commander of the robot was named Maximilian.
Oh,
Schell.
really?
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, Maximilian Schell was the actor,
Oh, okay.
and then Maximilian was the name of the robot. But at the
Wow.
at the end of the movie, spoiler alert for a 40-year-old movie, but they're in hell and they come together and
Mhm.
God, I can't think of his name. It's so late at night.
Tim
but
Burton.
Anyway, the bad guy captain of the
Bobby
ship
Duvall.
that is commanding Maximilian, he goes inside of Maximilian's body, the robot's body. At the end, you see his eyes kind of darting around. And that's what I was thinking of when you were talking about Picard assimilating with Data. Is that
He'd be an even bigger
becoming a
Terminator.
robot? Yeah.
He'd wear a Data suit. like Men in Black. More sugar.
Anyway, sorry for the divergence, but
No,
that's
no,
what
no,
I
no.
thought of when you said that.
If it ain't one black hole, it's another, dude.
That's right.
So they're chasing
Everyone's
these
got a black
fuckers.
hole.
They're hauling ass. They're chasing these guys, and then what's her face? Carol Shelby. She's like, we need to. So they have to basically lead an away party to kind of disrupt something on their ship so they could slow them down.
Mhm.
And so they're like, we gotta have an away team, and Riker's like, I'm number one. This is number one. I'm going in. And so he gets up and he's like, I'm going. And then Deanna's like, well, and then Shelby's like, well, no, I'm going to lead the team. And then Deanna's like, well, technically you're the new captain. You can't go. You have to stay because you now have the control.
Hasn't stopped him before.
Captain stays
but
with the
whatever.
ship.
Yeah.
That really surprised
Yeah.
me. That her move really surprised me that she
Really?
stood up to him that fast because Picard's gone away on away missions,
Yeah,
right?
tons of times.
So the
Picard's
fact and
missing.
I kind of
Yeah.
was
Well,
there
this is
like
different. He's not away. He's been kidnapped. They don't know when he's
no, I
coming
know,
back.
but as the captain of the ship, Picard's gone on away missions, and
Yes.
so she's telling Riker, "No, you're the captain of the ship. You can't go on an away mission."
Yeah.
Riker
So is
should have
she
said,
saying-
Riker should have said, you want the fucking job? Here, take it. I'm going on the way. You're not the captain. Fuck it, dude. Yeah. That's what he
Make
should
her
have
the
said.
captain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
You're
part of
acting
the
captain.
impetus for Deanna being the
Best
one
of
though
both
is
worlds.
that she's the one being like, listen, we gave up a relationship for this.
Yeah.
Be the captain, god damn it.
Yeah.
Like make it
Yeah,
mean
that's fair.
something.
No, I
Yeah.
love that it happened. I love the actual story drama of it. It really surprised me. And even watch it because I haven't watched this episode, honestly, because you see bits and pieces of it and I've known it so well just by thinking about it over the years, but actually just sitting and watching it, her just standing up and telling him, no, your place is on the bridge. It was a little bit startling for her to be like, no, because she has that relationship with Riker and they had that previous conversation. It's like, no, this is your place now. And I don't know.
It's
Maybe
also
I'm overthinking
startling
it.
that he has a strong moment she's usually not written to be very
No,
like.
she usually doesn't do any of
That's
that.
the most startling thing about it.
Yeah, that's probably true. Almost as startling as Dr. Crusher saving a patient.
Yeah. That's
No,
even more.
but they
more-
balance that
yeah.
out by giving her a phaser and go like, just go to town, Bev.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, finally, I get to kill.
He's
He's
like,
like, all I want.
Yeah.
No, okay, that's the funny part. So, what's her name? The actor plays
The Rock.
Crusher,
Dwayne The Rock
Crusher.
Johnson.
What's her name?
McFadden.
Gates
Yeah.
McFadden.
Gates McFadden.
Apparently complained to Michael Pillar, the writer of the episode, that she never gets to shoot a phaser. So can we have me shoot a phaser
Seriously?
before this? Yeah.
You're a
Oh.
doctor.
Oh.
You're a fucking doctor.
But she also shot a phaser earlier.
Yeah,
So that's why she
In the
was
season 1 finale, she shot a phaser.
But
Listen.
also, she killed by this point. She had killed like the equivalent of like 5 dozen people.
like a colony of people.
Yeah,
so.
and so there's 80s movies, there's 90s movies, all kinds of movies where they have the character who's like, oh, I don't deal with guns. And they're like, why, dude? We're in an action movie. You got to take the gun. And he's like, no. Bad things happen when I touch guns.
Harrison Ford did that in was it
7
I
Days,
can't remember.
6 Nights.
It was Clear and Present Danger.
Mm.
It was the end of Clear and Present Danger where the director said, okay, and then the gun flies over there and pick up the gun. He's like, no, I don't think my character would pick up that gun. I'm just going to get in a fist fight with the guy. And so he gets in a fist fight. It's either Clear and Present Danger. No, it's not Patriot Games because that ends in a speedboat chase. So it's Clear and Present Danger where they fight in like a
Fist
wood
fight on a
thing.
speedboat.
So
Oh, yeah,
he's,
like
but
Tom Cruise
but to your point, it's like the action star. He's like, no, I direct me a different way because I don't think my character would pick up that gun because even though I'm an action film, I'm still just like a dude in Washington.
No. That's not what I was saying. I was saying,
But anyway,
what I'm saying
That's what I thought of.
was like The Rock in The Rundown. The whole movie, he's like, I don't deal with guns, dude. Bad things happen. And then at the end, he gets a gun and he kills everybody. And I thought this was
Because
going to
bad
happen.
Things happen.
Yeah. I thought like they were like, Beverly, here's your gun. Go crazy. And she was going to
She
save
just go
the
to
day.
town. She
Yeah.
fucking kills a
Yeah.
ton of Borg.
So basically,
She really
their
does.
big idea is like,
That's
hey,
wild.
sneak into the Borg ship and just basically shoot their Wi-Fi hubs. Just shoot their Wi-Fi
They're
hubs.
just Wi-Fi hubs.
Well, they don't even have that plan. Their
No.
plan is
Dig
beam
around.
aboard the Borg ship,
Yeah.
find
Just
Picard
Picard.
somehow.
Just figure something out.
Yeah. They had no plan really other than that.
Yeah.
Oh, the only other thing is let's have our phaser frequencies rotated. And
Yeah,
then
that was
let's-
the big plan.
Yeah, that was their big plan. So we can kill 2 Borg each, and then
Man,
And then
that's
they
our-
can only
that's all they
shoot. They
had.
can only shoot like once or
It's
something.
fair
Like,
that's all they had.
Is there a reason
It's
why
a
they
couple.
can't just keep this? Why can't they put a dial on it and they just keep spinning it as they?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like crank the dial as you shoot.
Yeah.
Why is
Go
that
now,
not
3, a
allowed?
6, a 3, a 2, a 1. Because they're lazy.
Oh my god! Then you can make it like a 6-shooter where you do that rapid thing with the thing.
But they didn't.
or just combine. If you focus fire, those are different frequencies of phaser, and that's
That's
going to
true. If
confuse
you just
them
cross
even
the streams,
more.
you're fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Man, why aren't we tactical officers?
I don't.
We
Why
could've
are we
saved them.
killing Borg right now?
I don't think you should. I don't think you should be thinking about it this much. You should just,
So they start shooting down. They start shooting down the Wi-Fi hubs.
Yeah.
And these fucking
those are
Borg come to
Wi-Fi
life.
hubs.
They're like, oh, must fix the hubs. Gotta get my Google internet back up.
Don't destroy VPN.
And yeah. And so they turn on and they're fucking battling them, and
Yeah.
they start. It becomes a fucking shootout. They're shooting them, and then but finally they slow down the ship. But they realize as these guys are attacking them that they could only kill 2-3 people at a time, and then
Mhm.
that's it.
That's
And
not-
then out of nowhere, the sea parts of Borg, and they see fucking Picard as a goddamn universal soldier, and like tight leather
Wait,
daddy, leather daddy shit.
I gotta say something.
He looks sexy.
Picard
Here we
looks
go.
fucking hot.
Here we
He
go.
looks fucking
Here we
sexy.
Yes.
They
This
gave
is-
him-
I've
they
been
gave
waiting
him-
for
Holy
this.
They gave him 6-pack.
shit.
I feel like
Oh my
if I could be honest,
God.
It's a molded 6-pack.
Yeah.
No,
I think
like
Sarah-
it's like
Sarah
perfect
likes
too.
it.
Like you see him in the back, you're like, is that Picard back there? And then he turns around and you're like, oh, he's in black.
They give him a big codpiece.
Oh, and then there's that one where he comes on the screen and he just looks hot as fuck.
He comes on the screen
when he's like talking to him and he has a six pack. He has a like metal six pack and you're like, whoa, what the fuck?
And an eye laser designed to go into the camera lens.
Yeah.
I think this suit was molded from the Batman suit. The Batman suit.
It's the Batman 89 suit. Yeah.
It's just the bottom of the Batman suit with some wires on his arm.
It looks like the Tim Burton Batman suit.
I'll be honest, I do think it makes him look actually really imbalanced because if you have a wide shot of him, he's really bulky down below, but then up top he's just got this really tight.
Marvin, you don't know what he's talking about. He looks hot as fuck.
Stupid fucking Worf is like, he runs to give the captain a hug. He runs to give the captain a hug.
Yeah, you're like,
he's like, Captain! He just he hits a fucking wall.
Oh man, I wish that's the narrative. He's like, oh my god, Captain, I'm so glad to see you. I miss you so much.
I'll let you go.
I'm never letting you go again, Jean-Luc.
It is kind of cute that he sees him and Worf just like runs over and is just like, oh my god, I'm gonna try to grab you or something, and then just gets like thrown, and you're like, aw.
I'm never going to be able to watch that scene again with Worf running to hug Captain Picard.
He wants to give him a hug.
I miss you.
I will say though, but yeah, I mean, Patrick Stewart's color is black 100%. He should just rock that.
Maybe it's only black
sexy.
when you color his skin gray.
Yeah, and he's wearing leather or like rubber, and not his regular like spandex suit.
Yeah, his one piece,
his onesie, and then they basically slow down the ship, and then they beam back to the Enterprise, but not without stupid fucking Picard doing his hero pose where he rolls up and then like his team rolls up behind him, you know?
Yeah, I love that shot. I love it.
His Borg fucking Riker.
Borg crew, his crew.
Yeah. And so they go back to the ship and they're like, so what's up? And he's like, damn it, fucking Picard's a Borg now.
Yeah, they're very directly like, oh, he is a Borg.
Yeah.
No, it feels really awkward the way they come out of the turbolift onto the bridge all sheepish, like it's like, oh man, that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Worf's delivery of that line, so he is a Borg.
He's really
He doesn't want my hug.
He has a lot of
thoughts. Yeah, he didn't take my hug.
And then
Papa is a robot.
And then Picard comes on screen and he rolls up with his team and he's like, hi, I'm Locotus of Borg. And then someone just said, are you just saying your name in Pig Latin?
Oh my god.
Locutus, by the way, means he who has spoken. So that's why he literally means he who has spoken of the Borg.
Oh wow, the Borg are all like Shakespearean with their meanings and whatnot. They're like, oh, we're
Probably
gonna pick a name that means something.
Yeah, he's like,
it's probably because Picard is so Shakespearean. So
they
like,
didn't even have the name Locutus until they assimilated him.
Yeah.
They're like,
maybe probably
Locutus.
not actually. That's actually probably true. Like they probably
They're
did,
like, what do you want to name yourself? And he's like,
well, they don't.
Locutus?
Well, the thing is they don't have names because they're Borg. They're a hive mind, and he's the only individual that they've ever had. So they gave him a name based on what they assimilated.
Yeah, because minor spoilers, when other like Borg in general show up, they'll just be given numbers. You know,
yes.
So. Yeah, 2112, 5150, all the cool numbers.
That can
69,
bring up questions then of like what makes Picard so dang special. I hope we
his
get
number's
answers.
his number's 69.
Number 69.
69 of 420.
Ricardo, I'm so sad that it's so very close that the only Borg character that we got in Voyager was 7 of 9.
It could have been 6 of 9, dude.
Yeah,
so close, dude.
So close.
I'm pretty sure, like when they were like thinking of that character, they're like, "Why can't we do 6 of 9?" And everyone was like, "Listen,
some writer, he's like, Tim, I know you're the goddamn showrunner, but fucking listen, dude. He's like 6 of 9. I'm not saying 69. I get it. You're worried, but I'm not saying 69. I'm saying 6 of 9.
100%. Get past the censors. Get past the censors. Don't worry about it.
Rob, why are you such a pervert, dude? You don't even like 69, dude. He's like, yeah, but it's a beautiful number, dude. It's a great visual, but once you're in it, it's a horrible thing to do. He's like, Tim, just put it in the fucking show. And there was a huge argument about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so basically shows up and he says resistance is futile, and which is a phrase
good.
everyone's heard, even if you haven't watched Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. It's only cliche because it's just been said so many times in pop culture at this point. But
yeah,
Would
Like,
this
oh,
have
yeah,
been the
mean
thing
to
that
hell.
popularized the use of that particular phrase?
Was this the phrase? Yeah, that's my question.
this was the first. Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
I'd be skeptical. I'd be skeptical to call it the first, but I'm willing to definitely believe that it popularized
In
it.
Star Trek, this is like this is the first time they use the phrase in Star Trek. That's what I mean. Where
Okay.
It's like this is where it comes up in Star Trek.
So they said it, and they said it earlier in the episode, but the fact that it's Picard saying it to Riker in this moment is what made it a thing. I mean, this is a cultural moment that from this point is when, like you were saying, Marvin, this is where Star Trek: The Next Generation became Star Trek moving forward.
Yeah.
And
Like
then
the default Star
TOS
Trek
became, and then Star Trek TOS became, this is where it all started, but Next Generation is where it is now. And so,
This is the
It's
zenith of the
interesting to
69.
hear it described
Yes,
in this
this is-
way because we have been through essentially 3 whole seasons already, and we're now being told that everything's about to change.
yeah,
because also in a way, like for the audience, you have to realize, so the audiences back then were not as savvy as to oh man, they're doing these negotiations or
Right, like
there's their
after
version of
contracts
like a
weren't common
Kevin
knowledge.
Feige coming out,
you're
talking
right.
about stuff.
Yeah.
But they were still aware of the fact that hey, Star Trek does actually have seasonal negotiations. This is why Beverly left for a year.
Right.
So I think there was supposed to set up the idea that, hey, Patrick Stewart is renegotiating his contract. This is potentially a way for him to exit if it doesn't work out. They'll probably use this as their way to exit. So
and Riker becomes the captain, and Shell becomes his number one.
Yeah, the backup that they had all along becomes the captain. So that's kind of
now.
What an interesting way to write around negotiations.
but they did that. That's also how actually Empire Strikes Back was written, because they weren't sure they were getting Harrison Ford back.
Yeah.
So that's exactly why he was frozen in
100%
kryptonite
right.
or carbonite. Or carbonite, whatever.
Kryptonite. That's it. Kryptonite.
Kryptonite.
That's kryptonite.
Kryptonite,
Absolutely
That's
kryptonite.
He is the
Fake-ass
son of
kryptonite.
Kal-El, yes.
Han Sol-El.
And so
Son of
basically,
Jor-El.
That's not as funny as I should have taken that. But that was good.
he basically says, Picard says, hey, life as we know it is going to change, motherfuckers. There's a new sheriff in town. Old Picardist, the Borgus. And and then basically, even before this, he had already planned to shoot and then try to explode the ship. And Riker does it. He's like, Mr. Worf, fucking fire at this motherfucker. This guy's dead to me. He called me a bitch. And it says to be continued, and it's a cliffhanger. And
you don't know for a while.
Like, this episode was cool, but I think people hyped it up too much. And then it's a measure of a man type situation where I'm like, we could have had another episode be the season finale, and this could have been a 2-parter.
Okay.
It's a good episode.
Unless the second part really blows me away, I'm going to be very upset, because my idea of this being a goddamn the Kobayashi test kind of really overshadowed what the episode really was. I think that's the worst part of it. Is that my imagination?
But is that your imagination?
That's on me, dude. That's on me, dude. That's my cross to bear, dude.
Well, okay. What starships would we give the best of both worlds? Part 1.
Yeah, this is like you don't even find out that you just found out that Kill Bill's daughter is still alive.
Yeah. Wow. I guess that's who cares. I was about to say spoilers, but I was like, that's old enough. It's fine.
There's a lot of Star Trek stuff too.
Spoilers. She kills Bill. So
what?
There is a connection between this and Kill Bill. Well, not this. I guess it's from the original series, right?
Oh, in what way?
The movie, the first movie opens up with the Klingon proverb.
Oh, which is not a Klingon proverb.
It's a Borg proverb. Turns out. So
what's the Klingon proverb they open up?
Yeah.
He claims revenge is a dish best served cold as a Klingon proverb, but that's actually not the thing that Khan says.
That's what I was going to say. It's
Khan doesn't say that. I think what Khan. Let me look.
Why did he write that?
Because it's Tarantino and he just wants to write whatever he wants.
That's right. Khan says the Klingon proverb is revenge is a dish best served cold, and it's very cold in space. Yes.
I'm gonna
God
give this.
damn, that movie's good.
I'm gonna give it Kill Bill. Hell yeah, 7, 8. 9. I'm gonna give it 7 out of 10 starships.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Alright,
you know what? I'm gonna bump it 7.5. That's as far as I go.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay.
Just to get my score out of the way, I'll give it a 9. I actually,
Someone do a 6, then we got a 69.
well, because I find the episode very exciting in a way that Star Trek. I generally find TNG episodes exciting, but not in this sort of way exciting.
Yeah, you
where
were
I'm
pretty
like,
excited watching this.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's cool.
It's hard as a rock watching it.
Yeah, I was hard the whole time.
Watching Hot Ladies too.
I was like,
I think he was watching the Picard XXX parody.
yeah.
I
Watched the
legitimately
wrong ones.
look
Like, Sarah,
at
this is so exciting. Get the jerky gent.
Yes.
It
On
was
my
like
way.
it was like, I love the heightening of the budget, so you get all the different sets and special effects, and I think they look great. And I think like the interpersonal stakes becoming very like no one, they're basically about as tense as they are during Yesterday's Enterprise, where in Yesterday's Enterprise everyone is basically like, this is hopeless, but we're going to do our best. And it's that type of feeling,
Right.
and it's type of that kind of feeling the whole time, except now we know it's like real, because Yesterday's Enterprise isn't quote unquote real because it's like a bad version of the timeline, which they need to fix anyway.
Yeah.
So in that, you're feeling the tension, but it's more of like, man, I hope this tension can go away. In this, it's more of like, man, they're gonna have to make some choices and figure out what's going on, So that's the thing. And I like that there is this setup.
It's definitely the most dire it's ever been for our main crew.
Yes, it's like this is the first time they genuinely feel like everyone's in danger.
Yes,
I don't know.
Everyone's gonna die. I mean, they're preparing for death.
What are you talking about? This has happened so many times. When
something
the
about
ship
those other
when the ship didn't have air, and Beverly was like, I choose to spend my time with you, Picard, not my son.
Nah, during those times, I had full faith that they would pull through. This time, I don't.
That's the thing.
But the captain was always there. The captain
They're going to pull through.
Yeah, but the captain's not on the ship, and they're about to murder
he's been
the
kidnapped
captain.
before, like when he went to that weird room. Remember when he was gone and they had no idea where he was?
But there was an in place.
There was a singing captain in his place. The singing captain was better.
Yeah, true. It is true. He was a fun captain.
So they weren't without their captain, quote unquote.
That's true.
It just felt really dire. Also, just because that they were like, oh God, Q made us look at this. At this point, to them, it was basically like a fantasy creature they discovered, because it's so their technological capabilities are so far beyond their own.
Wait, why can't Q come and help them out? Like, can't Q do anything?
Q doesn't care about stuff like this right now.
Why can't Q can do anything, right? So
now,
I think he owes them one.
That's how
when they had the time travel shit with the two ships, they almost died. They died so many times that I knew that it was gonna be fine. It wasn't any more for me, at least. It wasn't any more riveting.
For me, it feels like knowing the outcome. Having seen the series, this feels like the act. It's like, even if you know how a movie ends, if the movie builds dramatic tension well enough, I feel like I worry about the characters anyway. Still, I feel like that's the way I still feel about Best of Both Worlds. I still feel that way about Yesterday's Enterprise too, knowing that it's a time travel plot. The
stakes are a little higher because this is the first time they've brought Earth directly into the crosshairs, and
which is a trick they start pulling off in the movies way too often.
Oh really? Darn!
You're gonna keep Earth is in trouble. Earth is in trouble, because that's the easiest way to raise this
Battleship Earth. we gotta save it from the Scientologists.
Forget it.
Sorry, you're gonna say something, Scott?
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
No. I was gonna say that. I forget what you were saying.
You're talking about Scientology.
About Yesterday's Enterprise, and how you still feel dramatic tension even if you know the outcome.
Knowing the outcome. So I was gonna talk about how I was gonna score the episode, and sort of knowing the outcome, because it's such a well-known episode. I mean, it's a benchmark. It's literally in the top 3 of everybody's Star Trek: The Next Generation episodes ever. And but what I was thinking is that I haven't watched it, just sat down and actually watched the episode, from just from beginning to end without like, oh, here's a clip of this, here's a great scene, here's this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I watched it to prep, just to talk about it, watching it from beginning to end, I was like I say, Deanna standing up and having that moment, all the different moments in context of Shelby confronting Riker and all these things, and then finally when Picard is on the screen. Well, when the Borg show up, by the way, the soundtrack is great. The music for this episode
so they actually went out
fantastic.
They had
they had a choral thing.
Yeah, I was about to say it's the first time you hear a choir in Star Trek, and you're like, "Whoa,
It's all
it was beautiful." Yeah, it was like the Duel of the Fates for Star Trek.
Yeah.
When the Borg show up.
Yeah,
but like all of these things that are going to happen when you watch it in the context of the episode, it's like, all right, that beat happens. But when it gets to the last sort of like 10 minutes of the episode, when Picard is abducted and then they confront him and then he confronts Riker, that is legit drama to me. The way it's built up, and it sort of struck me, having, just watched Star Trek for so many years over my life and just kind of watching this episode and focusing on it. It really struck me. But I will say at the same time, they rushed, not rushed, but it just felt like Ricardo was saying, it's like, okay, we get to all these points, but it doesn't feel like it's the greatest episode that I've ever seen. It's a great cliffhanger. And I think that's why it deserves all the accolades that it gets. So that's why I'll go up to a total of 8 as far as a total Starship score, because and it's not taking into the resolution in part 2, and it's not taking into the resolution of anything else. It's just as far as taking the episode. It's just that everything leading up to like the last 10 minutes kind of felt like, all right, this is Star Trek. We're doing a bunch of things. We're doing a bunch of tropes. But the fact that it's so Picard heavy, and that that confrontation with him against the crew, and it's this great moment, it just lifts this episode. And it's what we talked about at the very beginning. It's kind of what lifted the Next Generation into what the hell is going to happen. This is a Star Trek thing where people started talking about it. You had at the time you had Entertainment Tonight talking about it, like Dallas, like who shot JR? What? Oh my God. The Enterprise is going to fire and kill the captain of the Enterprise. That's amazing. And they talked about that for an entire summer. Like, how is this going to resolve? And
that would have been cool to experience that live, while it was airing.
It was kind of wild. I wasn't super, I didn't get super into Star Trek, The Next Generation, until probably around the 3rd season, where it was kind of like, oh, this thing's still hanging around. And
but that's the thing. I think your experience is similar to a lot of people, where they didn't even hear of 3rd season until this happened. And then everyone's like, wait, start TNG.
Well, it was before this happened. So I got onto it before this cliffhanger, but it was more like when they announced it was like Star Trek, The Next Generation. And then they had, you had Geordi with a visor. You had Worf, who was an alien. You had all these characters. You had a bald captain. What's going? I don't know who any of these characters are. I didn't understand it. I was a child at the time.
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't understand. This is not Kirk, Spock, or McCoy or Scotty. I don't understand any of these characters. And so, and I was kind of, and at that time, you're without the internet. You're just watching TV week to week, day to day, and it wasn't until something like, all right, after a couple of seasons, it started building the steam, and then they started building up to this. And then you start watching into season 3. And at the end of it, there was this cliffhanger where the Enterprise is going to kill their captain.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I don't know if I'm assimilating back into picking up after that happened and going into my childhood for that. But it feels like I knew that was happening. Like I had to wait another 2 months, 3 months to find out what the fuck was going to happen to the Enterprise in Star Trek. And that was an interesting time. It was, like you say, it was this new Star Trek where I didn't understand any of these characters, but I'm picking up on it. And now I kind of feel like I want to know what's going to happen with all of these characters.
Yeah, you're just getting into it. Like it's getting good now.
I'm just getting into it, and now they're going to murder their own captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a pretty big move.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I'm with you with the 8 starships for all the reasons mentioned prior, but I enjoyed this episode. I'm really curious to see what happens.
I will say,
don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know where this can go. I'm not sure.
I think the
Spoiler
primary
alert, he makes it back.
I'm sure he does.
Well, the primary thing I was wishing with this part, without spoiling what happens in part 2, is that it's, especially once you like read about the behind the scenes of how they developed the episode. It was originally very specifically a Picard centric episode, but then as they were trying to make it more emotionally dramatic, it became more of a Riker episode, right? So you see the remnants of that where there's lots of scenes where it's about Picard, but emotionally the episode's really more about Riker and Riker's decision making. And I wish they actually did yet another pass and made it completely from his point of view. I think that would have made it really interesting in terms of like, because I think then that would totally cement the idea of we're understanding his plight and his emotion. I think that's why the idea of best of both worlds also referring to Riker doesn't really make a lot of sense to a lot of people. And I don't disagree if you disagree with that, because it's not like fully set up for it. I think they could have really hammered that home and made it really interesting. But I think that's the only real shortcoming of it, is that the emotional center isn't quite centered. You know, it's like kind of Riker's story is happening and he's making a big decision, but
then it's like this big Picard moment.
Exactly. And like
the episode, you could say the episode's trying to have the best of both worlds. It's trying to have its Riker episode. It's trying to have its Picard episode. I'm just saying.
Like, imagine if you had an episode where it's entirely from Riker's point of view. Therefore, Picard seems more distant as a character. Like, we're not like having more intimate scenes with him. And then that episode frames Picard almost as like this legendary leader. We see him doing legendary things in the episode from Riker's point of view, and then suddenly he's gone. And now we see Riker's thought processes of, okay, is it time for me to step up now as a captain? I don't know if I'm ready, but I have to now.
That's hard to, it's hard to say without seeing the second part. I really don't know where they're going with it. Like, whose story is it?
Well, that's why I'm saying, even just for this part, I wish that was going to happen in this part. Yeah, that's how it's set up. Because you can see that they actually, in order to find that emotional center, did turn to Riker. Because you can't turn to Picard for that, because Picard turns into a robot at the end. So, you know,
if you go with that route and turn it into a full POV for Riker throughout the episode, and this episode ostensibly becomes like the last you ever see of Picard as you knew him, like as a fan who was like, if you're following the show, like, would that be satisfying for you if you were a fan of Picard?
I'd be pissed.
It might be. It might be like,
as a fan of Picard, I would be upset.
But he got so hot though.
That's why we need more of him. That's why we need more. Right. We need more Picard in sexy black.
Yeah, essentially what they've done is replaced him with the new hotter Picard for you.
But you can see, you could have Picard doing legendary scenes, but still from Riker's point of view. Like, he could be giving a speech. Bro. You know,
he can go full Shakespeare.
Yeah, and Riker's going, man, I love that guy. You know, something
I love
like
that guy, man.
You know,
he's so hot. I love that dude.
He's so hot whenever he's quoting Hamlet. Oh my god.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm really curious to see where it goes. So we shall see.
What's your score?
I give it a 7 of 9. No, I give it an 8.
An 8.
Which might even out to around a 7 of 9, like
roughly,
decimally.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already discussed like the whys to death, so it's hard to add on more. But it is cool how, like, as a season finale, they really like pulled out all the stops for it. Like, it's exciting because there's a lot of stuff in it. Like, lots of stuff's happening.
And it is a gimmick, but the cliffhanger is a really strong gimmick, especially for the time. I think they're like, holy shit.
Right. And it was an era where people were willing to, like, believe in the possibility that, you know, like, these characters may be forever changed.
Yeah.
Like, there was no assurance in people's minds at the time that, like, it's going to be fine. They're just going to bring it back. Yeah, like, the uncertainty was actually there.
There's a scene I forgot to mention, sorry, but there's a scene where they're trying to find him in the Borg ship, and they're sort of like, I guess they're trying to like triangulate his little little
comm badge.
little comm
Yeah.
badge, and they're
Why don't they fold his clothes?
they
messy.
they found the clothes in like a drawer, and they're like, and I expected Worf to go wherever he is, he's naked.
That was my thought.
Well, that stands to reason.
My thought was that like that prank that people tried to play back in like 2022 or something, 2012 or something, where they were like, "Oh, he got raptured," and his clothes just fell behind.
God.
So that's the thing.
Oh right, yeah, that was a brief meme.
Obi-Wan Kenobi style. Oh,
Yeah,
this is
wait.
going to be on.
Yeah,
There was one
That's
last
gonna be
thing I
on in
wanted to
40
mention,
minutes.
and it was that it's just great that the Borg, as a character or a species, are so foreign and robotic that it's kind of plausible that they would just approach you so slowly and take all the shots you give them, and and just kind of stand around as you tell your transporter guys like, "Bray, get us out of here," and they just kind of sit there.
They're very slow.
Yeah, I don't
That's
give
why
a
they're
fuck.
zombies to me. That's why.
Yeah.
To me, like,
I agree with you there. They feel most like zombies in practice to me.
That's what's menacing about it is when you have an enemy that doesn't give a fuck about what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's
true.
scary.
And that's
And they
zombies.
can
That's
still-
zombies.
And they can still accomplish the thing that they want to accomplish, more or less.
Yeah, they're like
Yeah.
they're hive mind zombies. What if zombies were
Yeah.
cooperative? That's scary, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna just to let the audience know now. There's gonna be a 2-week hiatus before we get to Best of Worlds, Best of Both
What?
Worlds, Part 2, and the reasons are twofold. One, let's kind of simulate the experience of what
Right.
it was like to wait for the next thing, the next
Yeah.
part. The wait, but also because practically, like some of us are going on vacation and some of us are moving. So
Take
we
a
need
break.
so
Take a break.
we need to have a little break. So
Yeah.
we're gonna be back in 2 weeks. But that was our discussion of Best of Both Worlds Part 1. It's a heck of a season finale. And
That's
we'll
our
see-
season finale.
Yeah, it's our
Yeah.
season finale too.
Pretty much.
Actually,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
We'll see how it resolves next.
What a
next-
coincidence.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like we follow along with every episode.
And I'm the Shelby, and I'm going to fucking
You're the
talk to
Shelby.
you, meaning menacingly.
Yeah, will
We're gonna-
Marvin be replaced by Scott next season? Find out
Oh.
in 2
Mm.
weeks.
Tune in next week.
Find
Or
out in
2
2
weeks.
weeks.
In
We
3
have some
weeks.
surprising changes.
That was Newbie Star Trek, everybody. If you've been listening for 3 seasons so far, thank you so much. It's been fantastic having you on board with our first viewing journey of the next generation. I hope you've been having as much fun as we have. If you've been liking the podcast, it would be great if you could help us out. If you're on Spotify, you can give us a rating. That actually really helps us out. Or if you're an Apple Podcast or Podcast Addict, you can give us a review. Those are also really cool. Also, if you want to send us an email, ask us a question, leave us a comment that we may read out aloud on the podcast, that's contact@newbiestartrek.com. Contact@newbiestartrek.com. So this email is going to be mildly selfish because this is mostly for me and Dan. So I'm just
All
gonna.
right, I'll take it.
It's from someone named Miles. So
Miles.
Dear Newbie Star Trek, first off, I love your show. I've been looking for an enjoyable Star Trek podcast that doesn't take itself too seriously for a long time.
Oh, thank
That's
God.
definitely us. So, to answer your question on Total Recall and the Screw You, Die Benny controversy,
Oh, fuck.
just to remind the audience from the Around the Sun last week, Total Recall released around the time of Transfigurations.
Yes.
And Dan and I have always had this wonder because we remembered the scene of Benny dying, the underground
taxi cab driver guy.
taxi cab driver on Mars dying, and Arnold Schwarzenegger yells at him, "Die, Benny!" Right?
Instead of screw you, which is like the cooler one-liner.
Yes, because he's literally screwing him with the big screw.
Yes.
So now that we always wondered, were we both crazy? Because we both independently had this thought and we were trying to find evidence. So Miles continues, I remember both versions. Screw
What?
You was said in the theatrical and VHS release. Die Benny was an overdubbed dialogue edit for the network television, as Screw You was considered too provocative for 90s television. If I remember correctly, in the Die Benny version, you can still see Arnold mouthing the word "screw you" as he drills into Benny's mining death machine. So There we go. Anyway, anyhow, I love the show and have been looking forward to Tuesday morning seeing this podcast come up in my queue. Take care, Miles. So,
okay, well, that's amazing because that is a explanation that we have found before. It's just nice to have someone else to corroborate that, which makes it likely that it's true.
And I did look it up. So I can't find, you know how like crazy fans make like change logs between different versions of movies.
Right. Uh-huh.
So someone did do like a general change log, but not like every single edit. But they do say the US TV version is a separate version from VHS and like other safe versions for other countries. The US TV version specifically has a safer version of the Benny scene.
What?
And it said it removes a specific shot of the screw going through his chest, but also changes dialogue. It didn't say what though.
Well, now we know.
So hopefully that's actually true.
We need video goddamn proof, man.
We don't have the true proof yet, but we have more evidence.
This is our white whale, man. I'm gonna die before I get the answer to this goddamn mystery.
The US TV version of Total Recall will kill us in our hunt for it. So all right. Well, thank you, Miles, for helping us have a little bit more evidence to make us feel not as crazy.
Yes, thank you, Miles. You've helped my sanity today.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Listen, guys, if you guys have been liking the stuff we do, you can head on over to fugitiveframes.com. There's a bunch of other stuff we do, like the Fugitive Frames Film Podcast. And also we have the Fugitive Games YouTube channel. I think a good one we could mention that we did was Outer Worlds. I think that was fun.
Yes, it was Obsidian Entertainment's, like, it was thought of to be like Fallout in space because it was the developers of Fallout New Vegas.
Now they're really doing a Fallout in space.
Yes.
Starfield. Is that what it's called? Starfield?
I think.
Star something? Yeah, they're really doing one. But Outer Worlds was way snarkier and very shoot and gunny. And that's
yes, it was. And
with very good voice acting. Yeah.
Yes, that it did.
Yeah. So.
And if you ever want to kind of compare and contrast New Vegas versus Outer Worlds, we even had a big old discussion about that at the end.
Yeah, because Dan had just finished his playthrough of New Vegas, and I finished the playthrough of Outer Worlds, and we're like, let's just talk about them because it's the same company that made both.
Yeah, and they were very similar types of games. So.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's you can head on over to fugitiveframes.com. You have links to all that over there. So next time's going to be in 2 weeks, like we said, but you know what it's going to be? It's going to be part 2, Best of Both Worlds. Scott, thank you so much for joining us and helping guide us through.
Thank you, Scott. We love you.
Of Best of Both Worlds.
Don't worry, you'll be here next time.
You guys through anything. You guys are running your own shit, and I'm just I'm happy to be along for the ride.
You're like a regular now on the podcast.
Ish.
Right now, you hold the record.
Mm-hmm.
I do admit it's nice to have someone like Scott, a guest for certain episodes, just because sometimes I'm like, wait, is that real? Am I saying a real fact? I don't know. I don't know.
You know
is
what?
Marvin just lying to us? Are you just lying to us?
Just to give a little more context to the Die Benny thing, between Marvin and I, we refer to any memory that we believe we may have invented as a Die Benny.
Yeah, our Mandela effect is Die Benny.
So, any memory that we can't verify as fact or anything that actually happened is a potential Die Benny for us.
Yeah. So all right.
Well, I think I've proven myself to be I know Star Trek, but I don't know Star Trek off the top of my head 100% of the time.
You know,
but
plenty.
I'm happy to.
Than us.
Yeah, that's the important part.
I'm happy to walk through it.
That's
and have
the
fun
whole
with
point
it.
of the podcast, right?
My whole thing is people take things too seriously. And I think
right.
I think the two fandoms that take things way too seriously are Star Wars and Star Trek fandoms. And for me, if you can come in here and you can watch an episode and have some laughs, talk about it like it's not a fucking documentary, and just have a good time with it, like it's something that you enjoyed and you got something out of it, you can have a few laughs with some friends. that's what I enjoy about it. And I appreciate you guys having me on board to do that a few times.
Yeah. And I think to that point, I honestly think the vast majority of what I would call like hardcore like Trekkies like are probably much more like you, unlike the stereotype. I think they're like someone who genuinely enjoys the franchise and is willing to take the piss out of it when it's like, how Trekkies have this reputation of being like, well, in this episode, the nacelles were this color, and so it doesn't make sense that another. But that's not actually, in my experience, what I've seen real Trekkies talk about that way. You know what I mean? Like
that stuff will get noticed, but it will be kind of brushed aside.
I would say that there's levels of that. I would say that there's levels.
I'm sure, but I think there's it's like a vocal minority. You know what I mean? Like it's
so where I find the gray areas is that I grew up being a TOS and a TNG fan initially, and DS9 is my favorite Star Trek.
Yeah,
fell apart with Voyager. Discovery has good and bad things. Picard, but I will say,
Can you tell us? Can you say this? Are you a Del Taco or Taco Bell guy?
Oh, I'm a Taco Bell guy. What are you talking
about? That was one important part.
I knew I could trust you.
We knew we were getting to this.
No,
you kept flirting around because you're like, Discovery, Picard. But all the audience wanted to know: are you Taco Bell or Del Taco?
We've gone over the Taco Bell.
Don't know how close I got to having a taco live on during this podcast.
Live during this podcast.
So I'll say this:
I had a chance to have one.
Look, Dan, we will cut your mic if you fucking put that shit on. We will cut your mic immediately.
So I'll say all of that. I'll say to say that Picard season 2, the first 3 episodes were amazing. The last 2 episodes were pretty good. Middle of it was, I hesitate to say garbage, but they were garbage. But I will say that I really, 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 really love the Kelvin movies. And
my Kelvin,
I like the first and third Kelvin movies enough.
And I've done that, and I watched Into Darkness a couple of times recently, and I can kind of headcanon my way into really loving that movie. But I say all of that to say,
if you put on The Dark Side of the Moon and
Inner Darkness to me is one of those movies where, like, to me, Inner Darkness is kind of like the Matrix sequels, where I'm kind of like, I can just edit this to make it good. You can just fix this in editing, you know? Like, let's do it.
If I change, I can watch that movie, and in fact, I can put in 2 lines of dialogue, and it fixes the entire movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those movies.
It's extraordinarily frustrating because it's one of the most entertaining Star Trek movies that's ever been made, but it's very plot confusing and frustrating. But I say all of that to say that I find joy and love in Star Trek, old, new, and in the middle, and I'm just happy to be a part of discussing it with you guys.
Yeah.
Aww.
Thank you for discussing.
Don't. Where's my cat?
I have tears in my eyes. Oh my god!
Oh, stop it! I don't know.
That was beautiful.
It's all good.
Thanks, Scott. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
Will we? If you want to follow me, I know some people try to friend me on Instagram, and I said no. I made a public profile. I made a public profile. I'm under JCVD. JCVD nice. Picard. No, fuck, dude, I fucked it up already, dude.
I think you're at JCVD Picard.
No, there's no D in it. JCV Picard.
Oh, JCV, okay.
Picard.
Jean-Claude Van Picard.
Yeah, Jean-Claude Van Picard is what it stands for. JCV Picard. You can follow me there. I post some stupid shit, so if you guys want to follow me there.
But yeah, all right. Well, we'll see everybody in 2 weeks, unless we don't.
Yeah. See you next time.
Who knows who's returning or not?
And I'm gonna go watch Key and Peele Gremlins.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Once this is over, we're gonna watch all of it. We're gonna all watch it.
I want to see it.
All right, everybody. See you guys next time. Stay safe.
Set phasers to come.
Yes, please.
Have a good summer, y'all. Although we'll see you still in summer.